Hello, I'm Dawn Tan.
And I'm Steve Lai.
Welcome to our special coverage of Singapore's Nomination Day, a key milestone in the country's road to the polls. It's 11 a.m. and all across the island, potential candidates are beginning to file their papers at 9 nomination centres, and they have until noon to do so.
And there's a lot of blanks to fill. Will all 31 constituencies be contested? And how will the battlegrounds shape up? Can we expect multi-cornered fights or even walkovers? We'll have all the answers as the day progresses. And don't forget, all this is unfolding with strict measures in place to keep COVID-19 at bay. But even potential candidates who have the coronavirus, they're down but not out. They can authorize a representative to file the papers on their behalf.
Well, there's a lot to track this morning, and that's why we have teams on the ground to bring you the very latest developments. Our correspondents, they're stationed at all of those nomination centres, and they'll be dishing out the action as and when it comes. Now let's get straight into the action. Michelle Teo and Shahida Othman, they join us from the nomination centre in Bendemeer Primary School.
I'm Michelle Teo here at Bendemeer Primary School, where we'll be expecting potential candidates for Bishan Toa Payoh GRC, Jalan Besar GRC, Tanjung Pagar GRC and Radin Mas SMC to come here to file their nomination papers. Now this is an election like no other in our history because supporters, for one, won't be allowed inside the nomination centre.
And I'm Shahida Othman. We're expecting to see straight fights between the People's Action Party and the opposition teams across these 4 constituencies. But just who will turn up to contest? Michelle and I will have all the answers for you as nomination day gets underway.
I'm Tan Su Hui and I'm coming to you live from Chong Fu School. I'll be giving to you all the highlights for Nee Soon GRC, Sembawang GRC, Marsiling UT GRC and Kebun Baru SMC, and I'll be tracking the People's Action Party. All eyes on Kebun Baru as it returns to its SMC status after nearly 3 decades. Now, they will be fielding Henry Kwek as a potential candidate, and it is known to be a People's Action Party stronghold. But it is no walk in the park as he'll be up against Progress Singapore Party's Kumaran Pillai.
It's been a flurry of activities here at Chong Fu School. All the potential candidates from the People's Action Party have arrived and they're up at the nomination place to file their nomination papers. The 2 out of the 3 opposition parties, that's the National Solidarity Party as well as the Progress Singapore Party, have also arrived and they're up in the hall. Now we're just waiting for Singapore Democratic Party and we've also I'm just hearing that Singapore Democratic Party has arrived and they have indicated that they will be contesting for Marsiling UT GRC. Now, Su Hui and I will be tracking updates here from Chong Fu Primary School.
I'm Olivia Siong at Deyi Secondary School, the nomination centre for 4 constituencies with some big names and possibly some big fights. These include Ang Mo Kio GRC with the P.B.B team helmed by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, and the keenly watched Aljunied GRC, which the Opposition Workers' Party is looking to defend once again with a new chief at the helm.
Well, the A team from the Aljunied GRC Workers' Party is already arrived at Deyi Secondary. Now here at this Deyi Secondary School, we are tracking 2 new constituencies, Marymount SMC and Yio Chu Kang SMC, where we can expect to see new contenders from the new entrant Progress Singapore Party. Will there be any surprises? I'm Deborah Wong and I'm bringing you more as the clock ticks down.
Also an expert on hand to analyse developments as they unfold. Dr. Gillian Koh is Deputy Director of Research at the Institute of Policy Studies and a keen political watcher.
Good morning, Steve. Don.
Now, you've already heard from the 3 of our teams on the ground, but there's plenty more in store. Saifwari Ismail and Isabel Lim join us live from the nomination centre in Jurong Pioneer Junior College.
I'm Saiful Bar Ismail and I'm outside Jurong Pioneer Junior College. This is the nomination centre for the group representation constituency of Chua Chu Kang and the single-member constituencies of Thong Kah North and Pioneer. Health Minister Gan Kim Yong is expected to lead the People's Action Party team in the Chua Chu Kang GRC.
And I'm Isabel Lim, and I'm here also at Pioneer Jurong Junior College. I'll be bringing you all the action from the opposition parties who will be contesting in the 3 constituencies here. Now we're expecting a very large contingent from the Progress Singapore Party. They're one of the newest parties at this election this year. And, you know, whether they cross their T's, dot their I's, and successfully file their nomination papers, I'll bring you all that news.
I'm Cheryl Lin reporting from outside Kong Hwa School along Guillemard Road. This nomination centre will be one to watch, with competition heating up in areas like Potong Pasir SMC. We'll also be keeping an eye on Marine Parade GRC, where the incumbent PAP team will be without a key player, former Prime Minister Goh Chok Tong. My colleague is inside the school with more.
Kelly Wong, and I'm inside Kong Hwa School. So far, we've already seen potential candidates from the incumbent People's Action Party and potential opposition candidates like Goh Meng Sing from the People's Power Party arrive. Now here we are set to see an exciting competition in areas like McPherson SMC, where Mr. Goh will go up against the incumbent PAP's Tin Pei Ling. Mr. Goh has said this will be his last general election. We will also be tracking developments in Mountbatten SMC. Cheryl and I will bring you the latest.
And from Methodist Girls' School, I'm Elizabeth Neo. Today, we'll find out who will be battling it out for Holland Bukit Timah GRC and Bukit Panjang SMC. For now, it looks like it's going to be between the incumbent PAP and the Singapore Democratic Party, similar to what we saw in the 2015 general election. A 3-way fight could also be on the cards for Bukit Panjang SMC.
And I'm Eugenia Lim from inside Methodist Girls' School. We've already seen almost all the potential candidates from the SDP, PAP, as well as independent candidate, potential candidate Wee Boon Yu. He's also made an appearance here at Methodist Girls' School, and we'll tell you exactly who's successfully managed to file their nomination papers.
Let's bring our guest into the fold and get her thoughts. Gillian, we are expecting an exciting next couple of hours. What are some of the things you're looking out for today?
Well, first, the fact that all seats are going to be contested is key because we have that many opposition parties, 10 of them, taking on the PAP. Second, will there be any 3-cornered fights? And I think it's shaping up such that there'll be straight fights in most of the GRCs, but maybe some 3-cornered fights in the SMCs. And here we had the big fight leading up to nomination day between Reform Party and the new Progress Singapore Party in Yio Chu Kang. Now, let's bear in mind that each time there are 3-cornered fights, especially in 2015 where there were 3 of them, one candidate would lose his or her deposit. So that's the thing. Finally, the hot seats, and I'm looking out for East Coast GRC. Both the PAP, the incumbent, and Workers' Party have been very coy about who they're fielding in this newly formed GRC, new 5-member GRC. Used to be 4, it's incorporated Feng Shan. So Lim Swee Say, who used to be the anchor minister, is stepping down for the PAP. But we know that WP is fielding its A-team in Aljunied and also drawn the NCMPs, the non-constituency members of parliament, who were there the last time around, to Aljunied. So who will they field and how important is East Coast to the Workers' Party? And the second hotly contested seat, I bet, would be where PSP, Progress Singapore Party, is standing and fielding its A-team. Of course, its founder, Tan Cheng Bock, in West Coast GRC. Now, we know that West Coast GRC used to be a 4-member GRC and helmed by 2 anchor ministers. Minister Lim Heng Kiang of Trade and Industry, former, who stood down, and the current Minister for Communications and Information, Mr. S. Iswaran. So now it's an expanded GRC. Who else or which minister will be sent there so that West Coast voters feel they still have the 2 heavyweight ministers looking after them?
Well, thanks, Gillian. Indeed, we'll have to keep an eye on those developments as and when they unfold this morning. But PAP did see its first arrival this morning at the secondary. New candidate Gan Xiao Huang arrived at around 9:10 a.m. with her supporters. She's Singapore's first female general, and she said that she's looking to contest in that new Marymount SMC, which was carved out from Bishan Toa Payoh GRC.
you are being confirmed as a candidate. Yeah, for Marymount.
For Marymount. So you're here for Marymount.
Yes, yes, but it's not confirmed yet, as you know. Nothing is confirmed until the papers are submitted and approved, right? Yeah, okay.
So
Thank
how
you.
do you feel about standing Marymount?
Well, very happy, very excited. Well, as you know, I'm a new candidate, so I have a lot to learn, and everything is quite new to me. But I'm very happy to have a good team. As you can see, we have supporters, our activists from the branch. We woke up very early today. Everyone's so excited and really happy and proud to be part of this strong team. I should feel honored, being a new candidate to be fielded in an SMC. At the same time, I feel ready because actually since last year, I have been walking the ground. In fact, I was with Minister Josephine Teo, for quite a while, on house visits, engaging residents, helping out in events and grassroots activities. So over a period of time, I have met many residents and, form a bond with the supporters and the activists in the branch here. So I feel confident. In my view, it's actually a lot of teamwork. It's not just about the candidate or the advisor alone. It's about how united and how strong the team is. And for that, I'm grateful that Minister Josephine Teo has actually built a very strong team.
Workers' Party Chief Pritam Singh arrived at the same nomination centre. That's for Aljunied GRC. This is Mr. Singh's first election as the head of the Workers' Party.
People's Power Party Secretary General Goh Meng Seng turned up at the Kong Hwa School this morning. This will be the fourth time that he's contesting the McPherson SMC, where he's expected to face People's Action Party's Tin Pei Ling, the incumbent. He'd previously announced that this will be his last contest in a general election.
When I walk into McPherson, I feel very comfortable. It looks like where I have stayed in Toa Payoh, the old places with rental flats, 3-room flats mainly, right? And in terms of aging, there are three problems with the three characteristics of the estate. One is a very old estate. I think it's one of the first HDB estates, 55 years old, older than me. Secondly, we have an aging population out there. And thirdly, I believe in terms of income per capita, is one of the lowest in Singapore. These are the three main issues facing the estate.
Meanwhile, Progress Singapore Party Chief Tan Cheng Bock arrived at a coffee shop near Nan Hua High School nomination centre at around 10 a.m. He is expected to lead a PSP team to contest West Coast GRC.
6 down, 3 more to go. Cheryl Goh and Gwyneth Teo are at the nomination centre in Nan Hua High School.
Definitely not your typical school day here at Nan Hua High School, which is the nomination centre for two hotly watched GRCs, Jurong and West Coast, as well as Yu Hua and Bukit Batok SMCs. I'm Cheryl Goh, and I'll be bringing you the latest as it happens.
And all the incumbent teams from the People's Action Party have already arrived here for all 4 wards, as well as the A team from Progress Singapore Party, led by Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, who has already said he will stand in West Coast GRC. And the mystery of who the PAP is fielding here against that team has been solved, as we've seen not 1 but 2 full ministers come here today. I'm Gwyneth Teo at Nan Hua High School.
I'm Brendan Tanuto and I'm here at Poi Ching School, the nomination centre for Tampines GRC and the single-seat ward of Hougang. Here we'll find out if it will be another straight fight between the incumbent People's Action Party and opposition National Solidarity Party for the 5-member Tampines GRC.
And we are expecting straight fights in Hougang SMC and Tampines GRC. Who will the People's Action Party be fielding in Hougang SMC? Now, the Workers' Party Dennis Tan has already arrived. I'm Nisha Rahim from Poi Ching School. We'll be tracking the developments here as well.
And on the eastern side of the island, I'm Leong Waikit, looking at various wards, including East Coast GRC. Now, unlike other GRCs, the candidates lineup for this area has still been quite secretive. Will there be surprises? Stay tuned and find out.
That's right. This is also the nomination centre for newly formed Sengkang GRC, Punggol West SMC, as well as Pasir Ris Punggol GRC. 3 opposition parties are set to challenge the ruling People's Action Party here, with 3 cornered fights possible in 2 areas. I'm Afifa Arifin. Stay with us as we bring you the latest on the ground.
And there you have it, 9 nomination centres, 18 correspondents bringing us all the action live as when it happens. As you heard there, some interesting developments happening in the West Coast. We'll get more information on that when it becomes available to us. In the meantime, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, this was him earlier arriving at the nomination centre at Deyi Secondary School, and he is there likely to defend the Ang Mo Kio GRC.
This election is being held during the COVID-19 pandemic, and there are plenty of safe distancing measures that are in place. Shahida Othman takes you through what the candidates will experience at those nomination centres.
Now, proceedings on nomination day are more subdued this time due to COVID-19. Supporters are not allowed into these nomination centres. Now, I'm here at the drop-off point where potential candidates will pass before undergoing security checks and temperature screenings. They will then head to the nomination room that's located at the 2nd level of the building. Now, in here, the potential candidates will fill up some forms before submitting all the relevant documents to the election officials. Now, these candidates must be accompanied by a proposer, a seconder, and at least 4 assenters. These are basically voters from the constituencies where the potential candidates are contesting in. And once confirmed, the names of candidates and the places they will contest in will be put up on the notice boards you see behind me there. And from that time till 12:30 p.m., any objections can be raised from other candidates as well as election officials. Now, over here, this is where the Group Assistant Returning Officer, or GARO, will announce the final list of names of candidates and the wards they will contest in. And this is also where candidates will make their thank you speeches, which will be aired on TV and online. And for candidates who are unwell, their authorized representatives can make their speech on their behalf.
We have with us in the studio Gillian Koh from the Institute of Policy Studies today. Gillian, I want to get back to you on what you were talking about a little earlier in terms of the strategy of parties. We've got 93 members of parliament to be returned in this general election. Are opposition parties, do you feel, going to bank on profiting from a by-election strategy at all this year?
Well, I think, let me make 3 points. First, because this election is held on the back of a crisis, so I think at the start, as we're going into the season, we looked at 2001, when that was the last time an election was held on the back of a crisis, the .com bust and the security threats stemming from the 9/11 terror attacks. In that case, the opposition was already quite coherent, smaller group, smaller field, but they also got together and said, let's return the PAP on nomination day, given the circumstances. So would you believe it, the opposition only contested in 29 out of 84 seats. And in that event, the PAP came back with a swing of 10%, 10.3% support for the party. So that's the first point, and that's why we were looking at whether the opposition would pursue a by-election effect strategy. But now the field is so different. There are that many more opposition parties, and the opposition has completely abandoned that by-election effect strategy because of what the PAP did to counter that, which is to make it painful to vote the opposition on the ground because of the local upgrading package that they would be denying themselves, or at least be put back in the kind of priority queue. So the 2 quick points to that then, if there is no by-election effect strategy, you'll see that the opposition will be saying that we know it's an election, there's a flight to safety, you want an experienced pair of hands in charge, the PAP, and of course the PAP has acquitted itself fairly well through this COVID pandemic. So deny the PAP a clean sweep. That would be one point that they could sort of bang on through the campaign. The second other strategy, and you hear the PSP harking on that, is to deny the P.A.P. a supermajority, and that's very important. There are 93 seats up for grabs, as you said. If the opposition is able to take or wrest 32 seats, then it will deny the P.A.P. more than a two-thirds majority, which means this, that it would not be able to just push through constitutional changes. The PSP cites the changes to the introduction of the reserved election system in the last sort of parliamentary term as the example of why they would want to campaign on the basis of deny the P.A.P. a supermajority.
So very clearly, Gillian, for the PSP, at least in this election, its debut election as a party, and a very new party.
Yes.
It's focusing a lot, not just on social and economic development, but also on political development.
Yeah, indeed. And I think because it's headed by Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, then I think the voters there in West Coast GRC will be very conscious, and he'll make them remember that he was a former presidential candidate. And it was a challenging time for him when the government of the day introduced a new system to ensure multiracial representation in the highest seat of the land, the presidency. It was a tweak in the constitution and the system to reserve an election if after 5 terms there would be no candidate or no president of a certain racial category. So he feels hard done by that change, and so he's highlighted it in his manifesto. And I think that the political system question is going to be very key to their campaign, hence his line of deny the P.A.P. a supermajority. So you have different lines. One line would be deny the P.A.P. a clean sweep, and the Secretary General of the People's Action Party said, no, I think that's not going to be likely. It's a tactical move by the WP to scare voters. Then you have PSP, which has a different benchmark, deny the P.A.P. Two-thirds majority.
All right, Jane, we'll pause for breath with you there. Thank you so much for getting us up to speed with that. We're going to cross we were going to cross to one of our reporters at the Anthony Canossian Primary School, but we just got word that he's not quite ready for us just yet. So let's move. So let's apologise for that. Let's move on.
Let's carry on and chat with Gillian for a second about this issue. Sure. This issue to do with what strategy parties are taking.
Yes.
You talked earlier about that surge of support that we saw in GE 2015 for the PAP, yes. 9.72%. It was significant. Are we expecting the same kind of swing this year? I mean, taking into consideration the fact that these are exceptional circumstances that we are facing right now. That, we can't sort of ignore the fact that we are in a pandemic.
So basically what you're saying is, what is the marker for the PAP's performance? What is the benchmark? And I think that I cited the 2001 benchmark, and I said we put it aside because it's a special era with regard to opposition politics. Then 2015, which you cited, was held on the back of the Golden Jubilee celebrations, the passing of the founding Prime Minister, and some reminiscing about the People's Action Party's record. But the most important point is this. In the run-up to that election, there had been very, very many policy reforms that responded to voters' concerns about social support, about healthcare costs, about alternative pathways to education and success. And the guy leading the campaign this time around for the People's Action Party, I think it's not just Lee Hsien Loong, actually all spotlight trained on Heng Swee Keat. And he's the gentleman and the politician who led the country through a rethinking about some of the key policy frameworks. And that was the lead up to GE 2015. I think voters felt that things like the Pioneer Generation Package recognized concerns about aging. Things like the Skills Future program recognize concerns of the younger people to be able to access opportunities for reskilling. So this time around, this parliamentary term, we've had the same raft of policy reforms by the government, in addition to what they've tried to do in COVID, a $100 billion package to deal with saving lives, but also saving jobs and businesses. So let's see, I think the benchmark would be close to the 2015 result.
Okay, well, Gillian, we have heard that Thanks, Kit hasn't been spotted at his nomination centre yet, though there is still plenty of time. Let's get a quick update with Olivia Seong. She's at Day Secondary School. Olivia, get us up to speed with what you've been seeing so far this morning.
Well, here at Deyi Secondary School, this is the nomination center for 4 constituencies with some big names and possibly big fights being lined up. Here we are looking out for Ang Mo Kio GRC, which is once again led by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, who is the Secretary General of the People's Action Party. Now, they just arrived a short while ago, just after 11 a.m. with his Ang Mo Kio team, all as expected, as they had announced yesterday. And when asked how he was feeling on this nomination day, PM Lee will only say that he is feeling good and his temperature is good. And that so speaks to the kind of election that we are going into under this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, there have been no surprises really so far from the opposition side. Ang Mo Kio team likely to go up against the Reform Party. We spoke to Andy Zhu from the Reform Party. He's the chairman there. And he said that he would not exactly name all the candidates that they would be fielding in Ang Mo Kio, even though they have said that they would be contesting there. Potentially, we asked him whether or not we would see Mr. Kenneth Jeyaretnam, the Secretary General of Reform Party, being fielded here. As we know, Mr. Jeyaretnam is currently serving a stay-home notice of 14 days after returning from the United Kingdom. But when we asked Mr. Zhu whether or not Mr. Jeyaretnam has a representative here, he said that we would have to wait for the announcement from the officer at the end of nomination. Now, however, while there have been some surprises here at this nomination centre on the PAP's front. Now, they have not, as of yesterday, they had not confirmed who they would be fielding in several of the constituencies that we're looking out for here, including in Aljunied GRC. But today we saw the PAP team arrive, and they comprise a mix of potential candidates that were fielded in 2015, as well as several new faces. So these 5 are Chua Eng Leong, Mr. Victor Lai, Mr. Shamsul Kamar, and the 2 new faces, Mr. Alex Yeo and Ms. Chan Hui Yu. Now, they have all been working on the ground in Aljunied for several years now, and they were accompanied by former PAP chairman, Mr. Lim Boon Heng. And when asked if Mr. Lim, was he here to support the team, he would say, we would see. And so we shall see if this is the team really going to be fielded against the Workers' Party's A-team, so to speak. And we saw Workers' Party Chief Pritam Singh, as well as Chairman Sylvia Lim, along with Mr. Faisal Manap, Gerald Giam and Leon Pereira, Mr. Giam and Mr. Pereira moving over from East Coast GRC after we've seen Mr. Lau Tia Kiang, the former Workers' Party chief, say that he's retiring from politics. And, Mr. Lim Boon Heng, who is the former PAP chairman, was asked about his thoughts, given that the PAP team has often been called a suicide squad. But Mr. Lim said that would this team be called a suicide squad, given the fact that in 2015, they managed to pull off a narrow loss against the Workers' Party. And we had seen the Workers' Party win in 2015 with about 50%, just over 50% of the vote. So, that looks like to be another matchup between the PAP and the Workers' Party with new configurations of teams. Other surprises here today for Marymount SMC, which is a new single-member constituency. At about 9:30 or 9:20 a.m., we saw Ms. Gan Xiao Huang arrive here at the nomination centre even before the nomination centre gate was open, and she is set to be fielded in this new SMC as a new face, and she is contesting in the general election for the very first time. Ms. Gan is Singapore's first woman general and currently deputy CEO of the Employment and Employability Institute, and she said that she is honoured to be fielded in this SMC, and she has been working with Mrs. Josephine Teo, whom this ward has come under previously. Now, Marymount has been carved out of Bishan Toa Payoh GRC. And for the final SMC, we had also seen a new face also set to be fielded in this SMC, Mr. Yip Hon Wing. Now, he is a former civil servant, former group chief of the Silver Generation Office at the Agency for Integrated Care. And he looks set to be going up against the Progress Singapore Party, against Ms. Kayla Low, who is a chartered accountant, former prisons officer. So those two new faces being filled up in two new SMCs this general election, and another rematch of the Workers' Party and the P.A.P. in Aljunied once again. Back to you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks very much for that. Olivia Seong speaking to us from Dei Secondary School. As you see just there, a box pop up on your screen, and we can see Mr. Heng Swee Keat there making his way into the nomination centre. A big election for him, Gillian, being...
Yes.
OK, so those images of Heng Swee Keat there arriving at his nomination centre. Let's cross over to Leong Wai Kit now for an update from the nomination centre at St. Anthony's Kenoshan Primary School.
Well, Steve, you said it. You saw Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat go into the school. What I saw was, he was driving in a vehicle. He waved to reporters, and this raises logical questions. Is Mr. Heng the mystery anchor minister that's missing in the East Coast GRC slate? Of course, nothing is confirmed until after nomination day proceedings, but you have with you political analyst Gillian Koh in the studio, and I had a chat with her yesterday, and she says that, if Mr. Heng does come to East Coast GRC, it is no surprise for various reasons. One, Mr. Heng Swee Keat's Tampines ward has two ministers, so there is spare capacity, as she says. And number two, when the election was issued, East Coast GRC was the first GRC that Mr. Heng Swee Keat had visited. Of course, there's a lot of interest in East Coast GRC for various reasons as well, because, like I said, there's a lot of mystery. Even when Dr. Maliki Osman led his team walking into the school, it was very obvious that there was one missing person. I asked him, who's your missing person? And he said, be patient, you will soon find out. Will Mr. Heng Swee Keat be that mystery person that we will soon be finding out? Really, we will wait and see until 12 p.m. when the nomination papers are all complete.
Okay, thanks for that, Waikit. As Waikit mentioned, he was speaking with our guest here in studio, Gillian. Don't want him to put words into your mouth. Perhaps you can speak for yourself as well. It was a surprise, perhaps, to see Heng Swee Keat there, or it seemed like something you perhaps thought could be on the cards?
Well, I guess it's an area contiguous to Tampines, where Heng Swee Keat's been for very many years. And he's built up a team there. Certainly, he has Minister Masagos there. So I think that there is spare capacity, so to speak, especially in light of the fact that East Coast has seen Lim Swee Say, the anchor minister, stand down. Previously, Lee Yi-Hsien was a junior minister, and he's sort of standing down as well. So they really did need a heavyweight there to anchor the team, and also to say to East Coast voters, we care about you. There is a lot of prospect for lots of development, and you have none other than the prospective next Prime Minister, if the PAP is returned to power, helm the team there and look after you. So I think that's a very important message for the People's Action Party, given that in the last general election, the Workers' Party had done rather well there, relatively speaking, and that's why they were able to actually put up two of the best losers of the election as non-constituency members of parliament. So it is an area that the WP would, going into the campaign, be interested in. So I think now you see that the PAP is probably given its best 4G leader to East Coast.
Well, certainly people will be scrutinising just if he is fielded in East Coast, what his performance would be, considering his position now in the PAP.
Well, certainly, but he's also new. Of course, people know who he is, so you've got to weigh the two up. He is a national leader. He is prospective next gen of PAP, so I think that East Coast voters will really not feel too much in a dilemma.
Well, let's get a quick check on the time right now. It's just gone 11:30. It's 11:34 a.m. and that means potential candidates have roughly left less than half an hour to finish submitting those nomination papers for the general election for potential candidacy. Objections, remember, they can be raised until 12:30 p.m., after which candidates will be formally announced by the returning officer.
And speaking of people wanting to contest, you can see there Chee Soon-juan from the Singapore Democratic Party. He's expected to be contesting at Bukit Batok SMC, making his way up there to submit his papers, accompanied by his team. Gillian, a familiar face for the opposition in Singapore. Tell us what you think about his sort of prospects for this election?
Okay. Secretary General of the Singapore Democratic Party. Previously, in the general elections past, he would be heading up the team in Holland, Bukit Timah. But we had a by-election in 2016 in Bukit Batok, so he went up against the P.A.P.'s Murali, and he, well, didn't quite make it, but I think he's trying to demonstrate his commitment to the voters in Bukit Batok, returning to that single-member constituency. What's interesting about the party then is that now they have released, so to speak, the chairman of SDP to helm the team contesting in Holland, Bukit Timah. That's Paul Tambaya. So I think that's a bit of a changing up of tactics and a willingness to allow the leader of the party to go with the SMC and then a second well, I think standing because he's a familiar face to us now in the SDP camp to helm a big team in Holland, Bukit Timah. Yeah.
Okay, next let's take a look at other potential candidates that have been arriving at the various nomination centres.
Yeah, we have the Secretary General of the People's Voice Party, Lim Tian, speaking.
Who needs no introduction. And also Dr. Michael Fang, a trained doctor and a medical entrepreneur.
So in the run-up to nomination day, Lim Tian's been very quiet about just who he will field within the party for the various positions that it's going for. Various wards. It's actually going for quite a number of seats. I think 11 or 12 seats it's going for in this election. He hasn't really talked about the people who are within that party. Gillian, do you think we'll see some clarity today as to what, the People's Voice Party, what their strategy is going to be? Because even though Lim Tian is, first time for him as head of P.B.B, this is a new party, a debut in this election.
Yes.
He's been around the block before, hasn't he, with NSP?
Sure. Yes, of course. I mean, we recognize him. He was on a national sort of debate in the run-up to the previous election. So he is a known entity, but he's sort of now helming PV, basically. Going into nomination day, the suggestion was that they'd field 12 candidates, really. But I think what stands out is that, he's somehow setting his own pace rather than coming into some collaboration with the other opposition candidates and parties. The key thing is that there is a cloud hanging over Lim Tian himself personally, so not very sure how he'll resolve the second round of bankruptcy moves against him.
Do you think that will encumber him in terms of how voters' perception and what kind of vote share he will ultimately get?
Well, so that's what I'm suggesting, that he really needs to profile the rest of his members so that PV is not about Lim Tian, but it's about what the party stands for and who else comprises that party.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see some names and some faces as well in the next hour. So
these things shouldn't be the best kept secret, Really, I think that we are in the final mile. Well, we were in the 11th hour of this parliamentary term, and I think parties really needed to profile who they'd be fielding, what their manifestos are. They shouldn't be the best kept secret of nomination day.
Okay, well, hopefully nomination day will reveal those secrets for us. Let's get across to Nisha Rahim for the latest update from Poi Ching School nomination centre that covers Hougang and Tampines. Nisha, what can you tell us?
Absolutely, Steve. Well, there are familiar faces and not so familiar faces here. Let's start with, of course, Hougang SMC. Now, we've spotted Workers' Party, Mr. Dennis Tan, here at the nomination centre. Now, Mr. Dennis Tan is, of course, a familiar face in general elections. For the past 2015 general election, he contested in Fengshan. And, in the last few days, the Workers' Party had announced, of course, their intentions of fielding Mr. Dennis Tan here at Hougang SMC. So it's no surprises to see him there. And, of course, we have Mr. Lee Hong Chuan as well from the People's Action Party here. He was actually he arrived quite early to file his nomination papers as well over here at the nomination centre. So we could be possibly seeing a contest between the Workers' Party again and the People's Action Party. Now, Mr. Lee Hong Chuan, of course, we need to understand that it's not his first time contesting these elections. In the 2015 general elections, he also contested in Hougang SMC. So it's not surprising here as well. But now what is surprising is for Tampines GRC, now the People's Action Party for Tampines GRC that is usually helmed by Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat, well, he's not here as we heard from my fellow colleague Leong Wai Kit, who's have heard that who has spotted Mr. Heng Swee Keat at St. Anthony's Secondary School. So as you can see, it's quite surprising to not see him here. The faces that I've seen here so far is of course Mr. Massago Zulkifli, Mr. Bae Yam Keng, as well as Mr. Ko Po Kun. He's a surprise addition definitely because we've seen him as an Ang Mo Kio MP for Ang Mo Kio GRC. So he's a new face definitely for Tampines GRC. Now we've also seen National Solidarity Party, Mr. Reno Fong, together with his team to submit nomination papers. It's no surprise there to see him in Tampines GRC. Now for the past elections, we have seen National Solidarity Party in Tampines GRC as well. Back to you.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Nisha. Nisha Rahim there. Now let's get across to Eugenia Lim. She's at Methodist Girls' School. The nomination centre covers Bukit Panjang SMC and Holland Bukit Timah GRC. Eugenia, what have you got for us?
Well, at this point in time, we understand that the P.B.B team for Holland Bukit Timah GRC has indeed filed their papers. They're still being checked at the moment. From what we understand from the potential candidates that were walking into the school, we see that Dr. Teo Ho Pin has actually been absent from the team that walked in. And in his place in the P.B.B team, we saw Mr. Edward Chia, who's the P.B.B new face and also co-founder of Timber Group. We've just learned about his potential candidacy when P.B.B introduced the team just last week. So what this means is likely we're seeing Mr. Edward Chia step in to the P.B.B team that will be fielded here in these two wards. It's quite unsure exactly what the configuration will be like and who will be standing instead in Bukit Panjang SMC taking Dr. Teo Ho Pin's place. And remember that Dr. Teo Ho Pin actually has served 3 consecutive terms, almost 15 years as an MP. He's also affectionately known as Mr. Town Council because he served as the chairman of the Holland Bukit Panjang Town Council as well. So in terms of the opposition candidates that we've seen so far, the potential candidates that have streamed in, they include Paul Tambaya, chairman of the SDP, as well as Alfred Tan, Min Xiong, and James Gomez. And also a surprise here is Mr. Tan Ji Se. He is the former presidential candidate as well as former Sing First Chief, and he's made an appearance at this nomination centre, which has raised some eyebrows and piqued some curiosity. That's something that we'll definitely be watching closely.
Right, thanks very much for that, Eugenia Lim, speaking to us from Methodist Girls' School.
Very interesting developments there, seeing Edward Chia well, perhaps he will have a seat in Bukit Panjang SMC. We're going to go over now to Cheryl Goh with the latest update from the nomination centre at Nan Hua High School. That covers wards Jurong GRC as well as West Coast GRC.
Yes, that's right, Dawn. And Steve, really interesting lineups here at Nan Hua High School. One of the most interesting is the P.B.B team for West Coast GRC has seen significant shake-up. So its anchor minister is still still S. Iswaran, but arriving today, we have also seen Minister Desmond Lee, who was formerly from Jurong GRC, as well as his fellow Jurong GRC MP Ang Wei Ning. So both of them are now likely to be contesting in West Coast, and this is complemented by existing MPs Fumi Har, as well as a new face, Rachel Ong. So there's been a lot of talk about what the P.B.B team will do for West Coast GRC, especially since it's seen to be up against a fairly strong contender led by Dr. Tan Cheng Bok's Progress Singapore Party team. So it does seem that they have made significant changes to that lineup. Who are missing from the old team are Patrick Tay, the MP, as well as a veteran Lim Heng Kiang. Another interesting lineup today is the contested for Yu Hua SMC from the Singapore Democratic Party. Now, it was originally supposed to be Benjamin Pui going up against incumbent P.B.B Grace Fu, but I understand that has been changed to a totally new name that we've not heard before. His name is Robin Long, but we're going to just make sure that that's going to be confirmed once the papers are up. For Jurong GRC, no surprises there. Anchor Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, as well as a team with 2 new faces, Sean Huang Kang, as well as Xie Yao-Chuan. Now, as we know, Xie Yao-Chuan is the replacement, so to speak, for another new candidate that was unveiled earlier, Ivan Lim, but Ivan has since withdrawn from the race due to some allegations over his behavior during his NS time. And Mr. Taman did say earlier that they would revisit the whole Ivan Lim case once the GE is over. But for now, they're focusing on getting their messages out, engaging the residents for this GE. Back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Shogo. There, let's get some instant reaction then from our guest in studio, Gillian Ko, especially on that battleground, shaping up to be quite the battleground, isn't it? West Coast GRC, Gillian, what are your thoughts on?
Yes,
on
quite a lot of shifting around in the PAP camp between West Coast and Jurong. But I guess it's because of West Coast where you saw the standing down of really heavyweight minister Lim Hng Kiang. So now you've got a new 4G minister, Desmond Lee, who's been building up his profile, held many portfolios, actually, helming the Ministry of Social and Family Development, but also National Development, known to be a very engaging leader, dealing with, issues of social mobility, dealing with the disadvantaged and what more can be done to help, families sort of progress, and the word is that he brings with him Mr. Ang Wei Ning, who's also, has a heart for special needs, the special needs community. And these are two people who've been nurtured through the stable of, former Deputy Prime Minister, Senior Minister until this Parliament was dissolved, Tharman Shanmugaratnam. So he's been quite willing to release them. And he, in turn, is saying that he'll nurture two young people, Sean Huang and Xie Yao-Chuan, who was just introduced yesterday. So I think this is the stable of Tharman Shanmugaratnam. He's built up Grace Fu in the past. He's built up Tan Wu Ming in the past, and clearly Desmond and now Mr. Ang. So he's the spot where you kind of put good people and try and build them up for the party. So very interesting moves, but they needed to do that because really PSP with its leader is going to contest in West Coast. It will be a different kind of contest this time, and I think that's the thing to watch, that this is the party PSP that's headed by a former PAP stalwart. And while West Coast voters will do the local thing and decide who's good for them and the country, I think all of us will be tuning in to look at what's happening in this contest for whether there's a changing up of the landscape of opposition politicians and parties in Singapore out of this contest.
Yeah. So let me ask you now, Gillian, in terms of Progress Singapore Party, they've been very open about the fact that they have the support of the Prime Minister's younger brother, Lee Hsien Yang.
Okay.
Let's talk about that for a moment, because we don't know that he is going to be fielded in any capacity as a candidate in any ward. Do you think that by rolling him out, as they have been doing quite visually over the past few days, in videos and also in walkabouts, do you think this man is going to be more of a help or a hindrance to the party in its bid for election?
Well, let's look at what PSP has done, and later on let's look at what PAP has said. So the PSP has always had Mr. Lee Hsien Yang in the wings as it launched, as he had breakfast with Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, as Dr. Tan loves to do. And of course, then the breakfast outing and the passing of the membership card to Mr. Lee recently in Tiong Bahru Market. So I think the first point is that the political effect of just that association says something to Singaporeans generally, and also to voters in West Coast as well as Tanjung Pagar, that there is a possibility that someone who is very closely associated clearly with the current Prime Minister, but of course the founding Prime Minister, is lending his support to the PSP. And it ties in with the PSP's message that the PAP of today is not the PAP of the past, but of course. So let's get to the PAP message. And the Secretary General said yesterday, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, the brother of Lee Hsien Yang, that he hopes that this election would not be an extension of the family feud, and also that this is a moment of grave danger for, well, of course, the country and the world as we struggle with the COVID pandemic. So the PAP is trying to reframe the situation, make sure that the focus is not on the family feud, but on governance issues. The PSP, of course, is saying it's entirely about governance issues, and it's about the quality of governance. And the current First Assistant Secretary General of the PAP had already responded to this half a year ago when the argument was that the quality of governance had dropped because of various things. The response is governance is far more complex today than it was 2 decades ago.
Right.
And so you're juggling a lot of balls in the air, and I think that that's what needs to be reckoned with. So we're looking at, as voters and analysts, the party that recognizes the complexity of governance and has, therefore, a realistic proposal for different policy areas, but generally as a governance formula for Singapore in very difficult times for the world, and Singapore takes its cue from what's happening outside.
Yeah, well, no matter who is fielded there, I mean, you know, PSP has got its work cut out for it in this battle for West Coast.
Yes.
A quick reminder that back in GE 2015, of course, the PAP took that award. 78.57% was one of the highest percentages for vote share back in that election. Let's go over to Isabel Lim now. She's got the latest update for us from Jurong Pioneer Junior College. The nomination centre there covers the wards of Choa Chu Kang GRC, Hong Kong North SMC and Pioneer SMC.
Right, so we have some confirmation now that nomination papers have been filed for the Choa Chu Kang GRC for the team, for the PAP team, I'm sorry. And so the names that are being confirmed, you know, some are familiar. Mr. Gan Kim Yong and Ms. Loh Yen Ling are on the slate for the PAP slate for Choa Chu Kang GRC. However, we are seeing 2 new faces, and those 2 new faces are Don Wee and Zulkarnain Abdul Rahim. And so that's what those are the nomination papers that we have so far. We also have, however, confirmation that Dr. Amy Khor will be standing for Hong Kong North SMC again. Now, as we know, Dr. Amy Khor has been representing that area for close to 20 years now. On the opposition side, we were expecting a very large contingent from the Progress Singapore Party, and we are seeing, you know, the first instances of that. Ms. Ji Jin Wong, who have expressed interest in contesting Hong Kong North SMC, she has filed her papers for that as well. However, we are, you know, a couple of minutes from 12 p.m. and that's when candidates will be able to look at the nomination papers for other candidates and lodge any objections if they so wish. And so only after that period will the nominations be deemed successful.
Isabel, thank you very much for that. Let's cross over now to Kelly Wong. She's at Kong Hwa School. That nomination centre covers the wards of McPherson, Marine Parade, Mountbatten, as well as Potong Pasir. Kelly.
Right, so similar to my colleague Isabel, we are just a few minutes away from 12 p.m. and we have seen all of the potential candidates file their nomination papers already. Their papers are now up on the board in the second level, and which will be so people will be allowed to inspect it till 12:30. Now, in terms of the lineup for the Workers' Party, we weren't really sure who would be fielded here, but today we saw a familiar face, Yee Jen Jong, who also contested in the Marine Parade GRC back in 2015. So this would be the second consecutive election that we will see the Workers' Party contesting in the Marine Parade GRC. Now, back in 2015, the Workers' Party only managed to get about 36% of the votes. And from the 2015 team, Mr. Yee is the only one that has returned for this lineup. Now, in 2011, he had also contested in Joo Chiat, where he lost narrowly with about 48%, and therefore he was appointed a non-constituency MP in the 12th Parliament. Now, apart from Mr. Yee, we've also seen familiar faces like Ron Tan, who is part of the Marine Parade GRC lineup. So in 2015, Ron Tan actually contested in the Nee Soon GRC, where Workers' Party managed to garner about 33% of the votes. Ron Tan has been volunteering with the Workers' Party at Hougang Constituency Committee in 2012 and has been assisting hosting the Aljunied Constituency Committee since 2017. Now, we also saw Nathaniel Koh. This is his first time contesting in the general election, but he has been involved before. So back in 2015, he was an election agent for Workers' Party when they contested in the now defunct Sengkang West SMC. Yeah. So the other two new faces that followed them here would be Fadli Fauzi, who's a lawyer, as well as Azza Abdul Latif. So this is the lineup for Marine Parade GRC. Now moving on to Mountbatten SMC, we didn't really know who the People's Voice would field here, and this morning we've already seen Siva Kumaran Chalapa, who came in to file his nomination papers. Now he left the People's Power Party back in 2019 to join the People's Voice. Other than that, we expected familiar faces like Jose Raymond from the Singapore People's Party, as well as Goh Meng Seng from the People's Power Party, filing the nominations here as well.
Thanks very much for that. Kelly Wong speaking to us from Kong Hwa School Nomination Centre. Let's get you up to speed on some of the key movements that we've seen then this morning. In a surprise move, Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat will be leading the P.A.P. team in the East Coast GRC against the Workers' Party. He appeared at the St. Anthony Kenoshan School, which is nomination centre for the 5-member GRC.
DPM Heng is moving from the Tampines GRC, where he has been standing since he entered politics in 2011. Now, earlier, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong also spoke to the media after he arrived at the Deyi Secondary School, the nomination centre for Ang Mo Kio GRC, with members of his team. His team includes newcomers Ng Ling Ling and Nadia Samdin, as well as former members of Parliament Gan Thiam Poh and Daryl David.
Mr. Lee said on Friday that after the polls, the new Ang Mo Kio Town Council will also manage the Yio Chu Kang and Kebun Baru SMCs. They were created after electoral boundaries were redrawn ahead of this election.
A hot ward to watch at this election is, of course, Aljunied GRC, where the PAP is seeking to wrest it back from the opposition Workers' Party. The WP team will be led by Party Chief Pritam Singh, Chairman Sylvia Lim, and includes Faisal Manap, former NCMPs Gerald Giam and Leon Pereira.
The PAP team will comprise Shamsul Kamar, Victor Lai, Chua Eng Leong, Chan Hui Yu and Alex Yeo. Former PAP chairman Lim Boon Heng turned up at the nomination centre to lend his support to the PAP team.
Could you tell us what you think of this team that's being fielded?
We have got a good team, a very hard-working team. They worked the ground for the last 5 years.
So what do you think of the rematch, possibly with the Workers' Party once again?
Well, it's still going to be tough. After all, WP have got their A team. At least that's what they say.
Why choose to field the same, group that has been on the ground? Of course, we have seen Mr. Alex Yeo and Ms. Chan Hui Yu find new additions. What do you think of the chances with the new configuration of the Workers' Party?
Well, we believe that if we want to help people, then you must have a team of people who work the ground for an extended period of time. And you've got to demonstrate that they care for people. So it's not that, this is a place you jump in to stand for election to be a member of parliament. It is about serving people. And so that's what this team has done in the last 5 years.
Could you talk about how you've been working with the team?
Well, they have been working quite a lot by themselves. I'm pretty happy with the way they do things. All I have to do is guide them and say that, look, it's not about you, it's about the people. And they've been faithfully doing that.
Some people might often say that the PAP team in Aljunied is a suicide squad. What did you have to say to that?
It's a what?
Suicide squad.
If it was a suicide squad, how did they pull off a marginal loss to WP in the last round? So I think it is not that you must have heavyweight people or perceived heavyweight people. It is whether you have people who have a heart to serve people that matters.
A clearer picture of the contest coming up in various constituencies as more candidates arrived at other nomination centres. Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, estranged brother of Prime Minister Lee, doesn't appear to be contesting in this election. Talk that he might do so, that arose after he was introduced as a member of the Progress Singapore Party recently. But Mr. Lee and the party remained very coy on his candidacy, even as he appeared with the PSB team for the Tanjong Pagar GRC at a market before nomination this morning.
Is Mr. Lee contesting today?
He's not joining us. I think he's gone out already.
He's not joining us?
Yeah, he'll be joining us for lunch later.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can just...
How are you feeling today? Confident?
I would say excited. Confident, definitely confident with the team. But the final result will depend on the voter.
And what you're seeing unfold in Singapore this morning is unprecedented on a number of fronts. We're expecting the biggest field of political parties contesting a general election in Singapore's history.
Many eyes will also be on Aljunied GRC, the only opposition-held GRC, where the Workers' Party will be entering battle without its veteran and former leader, Lau Tia Kiang, who is retiring from politics. Most candidates gathered at nearby meeting points with their election officials before making their way to the nomination centres together.
Each candidate has to file his nomination accompanied by proposers, seconders and at least 4 assenters. And these must all be registered electors from the constituency that their candidates are contesting in. Now, the clock has just passed 12 noon, meaning nominations are now closed for the general election. Objections can be raised all the way till 12:30.
We're going to go now to Elizabeth Nyo. She's at the nomination centre of Methodist Girls' School. That covers Bukit Panjang SMC and Holland Bukit Timah, a 4-member GRC team. Elizabeth.
Thanks, Don. Yep, that's right. The papers are on the board for inspection. Let me tell you about Holland Bukit Timah GRC first. On the PAP side, the names we've seen so far are Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, Ms. Sim Ann, Mr. Christopher D'Souza, and new face Edward Chia. They are going to face off against the SDP team of Alfred Tan, Ms. Min Cheong, Mr. James Gomez, and Tan Ji Se, who is former chief of now dissolved Singfest. Now, he had asked if he could join back SDP, and this is the 3rd time he's joining the SDP. Over for Bukit Panjang SMC, PAP's, the name on the board for the PAP is Mr. Liang Eng Wah, and he takes over from Mr. Teo Ho Pin, also known as Mr. Town Council. He is now facing off with the SDP's Paul Timbaya. Now, that is rather surprising. Paul Timbaya is seen as Dr. Chee Soon Juan, the chief of SDP's second in command. Dr. Paul Timbaya actually walked in on his own ahead of his other teammates. So that could have been an inkling that he was going to be contesting the SMC on his own.
Yeah, some interesting developments from SDP there. Thanks very much for that, Elizabeth Nyo, speaking to us. So let's cross over to Vanessa Lim and get an update from where she is. Vanessa.
Yep, I'm at Chongfu Primary School. That's a nomination center for Marsiling UT GRC, Sembawang GRC, Nee Soon GRC, as well as Kebun Baru SMC. Now, the papers are up for the 4 constituencies, but we're still waiting for one of them, the opposition party who's contesting for Nee Soon GRC, that is the Progress Singapore parties, for their papers to be put up on the board. But for now, what I can tell you is that for Kebun Baru SMC, no surprises there. PAP's Henry Kwek will be contesting for the single seat ward, and he's up against the Progress Singapore's party, Kumaran Pillay. Now, he is a former Army Lieutenant Colonel, as well as the former publisher of socio-political website, The Independent Singapore. Now, Kebun Baru is one of the hot seats in this election. It's one of the it's been newly carved out from Nee Soon GRC. At one stage, signs were pointing to a 3-cornered fight, but nomination has closed. So it looks like it will be a straight fight. Now, for the other 3 GRCs, it also looks like it's going to be a straight fight, but this all depends on what will be announced at 12:30, because between 12 to 12:30, the parties will be scrutinizing the papers that have been put up on a notice board to see whether they want to raise any objections. Now, for Nee Soon GRC, we're seeing for the first time newcomer Progress Singapore Party up against the People's Action Party, which is led by Mr. K. Shanmugam. Now, Yeah, and we are waiting for Sembawang SMC, as I said, the National Solidarity Party, who will be contesting for the second time. And for Eastern GRC, we've just gotten an update that the Progress Singapore Party is out. They will not be; their papers are not on the board. This is an interesting development because they did add it to their trim list a week ago, and it's interesting that they're pulling out right at this junction. They actually showed up earlier today. The fact that they're here, we're not sure why they dropped out. We will get more updates for you.
All right. Many thanks for that, Vanessa. Very interesting developments happening there. We'll get Gillian's thoughts in just a moment. But first, let's get Gillian's thoughts right now, in fact. Okay. Yeah, quite remarkable. We just heard there that from Vanessa that they won't be contesting. Well,
That's surprising. So we were expecting Progress Singapore Party to be contesting the PAP team led by Shanmugam in Nee Soon. And if that does not materialize, then we'll have the first walkover on nomination day.
Let's talk about the other development that we know of now at Bukit Panjang. That's a surprising matchup there, potentially SDP's Paul Tambaya.
Well, when we started the show, we thought that Paul Tambaya would be helming the team in Holland Bukit Timah, and now it appears that he'll be standing on his own in Bukit Panjang. So that is quite a surprising switch. But we know that in Holland Bukit Timah, we have the return of Tanji Se, who had contested under the same banner, SDP, before he started his own party, Sing First, which is what he contested under in 2015. So he's come back to where he was in 2011 with the same party because he's dissolved Sing First now. So I don't know who you would say would be the guy who anchors that team there, because this is a last-minute switch. But I suppose voters will be familiar with Tanji Se. James Gomez has been with SDP and stumping for SDP for very many years now, and so he would be a familiar face nationally, but again, not ever been in Holland Bukit Timah, I believe. And then you have the two newcomers, Alfred Tan and Min Cheong. So I'm not sure I can see where there's an A team of SDP for a GRC. But really, I think the strategy's been to kind of put their two key individuals in the two single-member constituencies. First, Paul Tambaya in Bukit Panjang, and then Chee Soon Juan in Bukit Batok. So,
it's quite an interesting strategy to sort of spread them out rather than consolidate and fight in one space.
Yeah. But then bear in mind, going into this election, there are more SMCs now, 14 instead of 13. And it's really, if you're a party where you have just a few individuals who are known entities, you might actually choose to field them in the single wards and see if they can make it on their own.
And we're just getting some news in, Gillian and Steve, that in fact the team for PSP, their nomination papers are in fact up on the board for Nee Soon GRC. Okay. They will be contesting.
Thank you for that clarification. So otherwise, we would be facing the first walkover, and that would be quite a significant milestone.
Yeah, certainly would.
Let's cross on over now to Deborah Wong. She's at the secondary school, the nomination centre covering Aljunied Ang Mo Kio, as well as Marymount SMC, and that new SMC as well, the second one, Yio Chu Kang.
Well, Dawn, we were expecting to see all two straight fights between all. Sorry, let me try that again. Here at Dairy Secondary, we are seeing fights between two parties for all four constituencies. Now, we've just got confirmation that the names on the notice board for Aljunied GRC is the A team from the Workers' Party, led by Chief Pritam Singh, as well as his colleague Sylvia Lim, and they are up against familiar faces that also contested back in 2015. Against them, we have the People's Action Party's Victor Lai, as well as Shamsu Kama, so familiar faces for these two teams. And for Ang Mo Kio GRC, we'll have Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong leading the charge in for the People's Action Party, along with two fresh faces. Among them, the youngest candidate that the People's Action Party is fielding, Nadia Samdin. And they are up against the Reform Party's team, which is led by Party Chief Kenneth Jayaratnam, who isn't here today because he is serving a stay-home notice. So the team is currently today represented by Party Chairman Andy Zhu. And it's interesting to note because this is the team that previously contested in West Coast GRC back in 2015. So it's quite new waters for them this time round. And here we're also looking at two new constituencies. Yio Chu Kang is experiencing a straight fight as well between the P.B.B. and the Progress Singapore Party. So we are seeing fresh face Ip Hon Wing representing the People's Action Party, and he's up against the Progress Singapore Party's Kayla Low. And we also have some confirmation on the notice board that Dr. An Yong Guan from the Progress Singapore Party will be leading the charge for Marymount, and he will be up against People's Action's Party, Gan Xiao Huang. Now, all these names are on the notice board at the moment, but of course, the final confirmation will only be known at 12:30. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Deborah. It's now 12:10, so 20 more minutes to go before we find out who the final candidates will be. In the meantime, the Reform Party's chairperson, Andy Zhu, has filed his nomination papers, and he is expected to contest Ang Mo Kio GRC.
Well, I wouldn't say there's any difference on Ang Mo Kio or West Coast GRC, despite the PMD was the one heading here. Well, I would like to say that it all boils down to serving the citizens. Yeah, so I believe that all Singaporeans should be treated the same, and we are putting in our utmost effort to serve them with passion.
Let's cross over now to Afifah Arifin. Sorry, excuse me. We, in fact, also heard from PSP's Sec-Gen Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, who is looking to contest West Coast GRC.
Good morning.
How does it feel to come back to politics after kind of?
Because I love you guys.
Oh, you love us?
And to make life better for you all.
Doc, how do you feel to be running again? Winner from CNA, how do you feel about to be running again?
I always love a fight.
And how do you feel about going up against PAP potentially?
Well, I think we will be gentlemen in the way we conduct ourselves, and the better person will win. We wait and see.
So what are the issues?
No, don't now talk about issues. We will come to it soon. Okay, what do I do now?
Wait, I off the scan in.
Okay. I tell you mine, my camera cannot work one.
There's resident. We can go in the
okay.
Thank you, sir.
Handphone number. How long wait?
Yeah, Dr. Tan Cheng Bock there with a few words in chipper mood this morning. Well, let's cross over to Afifah Arifin for more now from the nomination centre at St. Anthony's Canossian Primary School. Afifah, what can you tell us?
That's right, Steve. Names are being pasted on the list in quite a flurry here at St. Anthony's Canossian Primary School's nomination centre. It looks set to be a straight fight in the newly formed single-member constituency of Punggol West, with PAP's incumbent Sun Xueling set to stand in that ward. Her competitor is the Workers' Party's Tan Chen Chen. Now, she is a new face for the party. It is her first time contesting in this party. Her only experience is having volunteered for Mr. Lau Tia Keng, who, as we know, had announced his retirement from politics earlier. So a straight fight for now for Punggol West SMC. Now, the names for Sengkang GRC for the PAP team has also been pasted on the nomination board. It is led by Anchor Minister Ng Chee Meng. It's also together with Amrin Amin, Dr. Lam Pin Min, as well as a new face, Raymond Lai. That team seems to be relatively strong along with 3 former political office holders contesting in that GRC. The names for the Workers' Party's slate of candidates for Sengkang GRC, which is also a newly formed GRC in this election, has yet to be pasted on the nomination centre. We have also are seeing the names of the candidates that are contesting for the Pasir Ris Punggol GRC. We have the names for the PAP team, of course, led by former Deputy Prime Minister and the anchor Minister Teo Chee Hean, as well as the former incumbents Janil Puthucheary and new faces Yeo Wan Ling, Desmond Tan, and Muhammad Sharil there as well. The People's Voice parties, list for Pasir Ris Punggol GRC has also been pasted up. They are led by Gilbert Koh as well as 4 new faces. We are just getting right now as I speak the names for East Coast GRC's lineup from the Workers' Party, and it seems that the team will be fielded by some of their more experienced candidates who had arrived from the Workers' Party, and this includes Terence Tan and Dylan Ng, who have contested for the Workers' Party in previous elections, as well as Abdul Sharif, and of course the one star potential that the Workers' Party, a familiar face that we've all seen before, Nicole Seah, will be standing in East Coast GRC. Their names have been pasted. Of course, we will have to wait for 12:30 for the names to be confirmed by the returning officer. But, interestingly enough, we have been talking about how East Coast GRC is a hot ward to watch. That's because Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat arrived at this centre earlier and is likely to be anchoring East Coast GRC, and this team of Workers' Party candidates could very well be up against him.
Afifa, thank you very much for that update. Let's get you back now to Shahida Othman. She's at Bendemeer Primary. Shahida?
On Steve, well, things are developing quite quickly here at Bendemeer Primary School. We know that the papers for all 4 constituencies are up on the board and they are being reviewed by other candidates in other teams as we speak, and they have until 12:30 p.m. to do so. But at this point, we know who are contesting for Tanjung Pagar, Jalan Besar and Bishan Toa Payoh GRCs, as well as the single seat ward of Radin Mas. Now, so far, there have been no surprises or changes to the lineups that were earlier slated or revealed to the media. For Tanjung Pagar GRC, it will be a battle between the People's Action Party and Progress Singapore Party. That's one of the youngest political parties in Singapore that's founded by Dr. Tan Cheng Bock. The PAP team is led by Minister of Trade and Industry Chan Chun Sing, and on the PSP side, Michael Chua. He is the party's organizing secretary and he will lead the team. Now, everyone was on the lookout for Mr. Lee Hsien Loong earlier. He is the brother of Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, so we can confirm that he is not contesting. There had been a lot of speculations about him contesting in Tanjung Pagar GRC, but we can confirm that he is not, and instead, according to Mr. Chua earlier when we interviewed him, he said Mr. Lee Hsien Loong will join the party members for lunch after nomination later. Now, this is the second electoral contest for Tanjung Pagar GRC. It has enjoyed walkovers in the past since 1991 and 2015, simply because it has been a stronghold of the PAP. It has been a stronghold of the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. Now, for Bishan Toa Payoh GRC, PAP will likely see a contest between the Singapore People's Power Party and the PAP for the 3rd time. PAP will be helmed by Dr. Ng Eng Hen. His team will face the SPP team that's led by the newly appointed Secretary General, Steve Chia. But interestingly, this is SPP's first time entering an election without a member of the Chiam See Tong family since 1996. So it'll be interesting to see how the party will fare under a new leadership in this election. Now, for Radin Mas SMC, a straight fight between Kumar Apavu and PAP's Melvin Yong. In 2015, Mr. Apavu received about 13% of the votes in a multi-cornered fight against the PAP's candidate Sam Tan, as well as an independent candidate. I also want to touch quickly on Jalan Besar GRC. Now, Manpower Minister Josephine Teo will helm the PAP team in this battle against the People's Voice team. She was previously the MP at Bishan Toa Payoh since 2006, and this time around she replaces Dr. Yaakob Ibrahim, who will not be standing in the polls, and the PAP team will see a fight with the People's Voice Party led by its chief, Lim Tian. So far, all the papers are up on the board and they are being reviewed now, so we'll bring you the latest when we have them.
Okay, Mary, thanks for that, Shah. Let's get across now to Brandon Tenoto at Poi Ching School, covering Tampines GRC and Hougang SMC. Brandon.
Thanks, Steve. Well, lots of interesting developments here this morning. The most interesting one is that the papers for the names for Tampines GRC are up, and one name that is not on that list is Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat's name, who has been the incumbent anchor minister for Tampines GRC. In his place is Environment and Water Resources Minister Masagos Zulkifli, incumbent Tampines MPs Desmond Chu, Cheng Li Hui and Bayam King, as well as incumbent Ang Mo Kio MP Koh Poh Koon. Now, also, we've heard that we've heard word that Mr. Heng has showed up at the nomination centres for the GRCs of East Coast, Sengkang, as well as Pasir Ris Punggol. So it has been confirmed that Mr. Heng did not show up here at Poi Ching School, which is the nomination centre for Tampines GRC. Also, let's also take a look at the Hougang. The names for Hougang SMC are also up, and we have from the People's Action Party Lim Hong Chuang, and from the Workers' Party we have Dennis Tan. Now, Dennis Tan will be replacing former incumbent Hougang MP Peng Eng Huat. Now, Mr. Pritam Singh did announce like a few days ago that Mr. Peng Eng Huat, as well as Mr. Lau Thia Kiang and Chen Xiaomao, will be stepping down and making way for new blood to take over the reins. And so just a little bit of background on Tampines GRC. It is a 5-member GRC, and there are about 151,000 voters eligible in the constituency. And electoral boundaries for the Tampines GRC have been remained intact since GE 2001, but under the latest EBRC report, it has been redrawn to include certain areas from the neighbouring Pasir Ris Punggol GRC. Now, in the GE 2015 Tampines, the P.B.B. team retained Tampines GRC with a majority 72.06 vote against the National Solidarity Party, and the National Solidarity Party was here at the Poi Ching School as well. The papers are up as well. We have the team being helmed by the NSP's president Reno Fong, as well as his 4 other members as well. So we will bring you the latest when we have them. Back to you.
Jamie, thanks for that. Brandon Tenoto there. Let's cross live now to Saiful Bari Ismail. He's at the nomination centre at Jurong Pioneer Junior College. Saiful.
Well, Steve, it's 12:20 p.m. Here at Jurong Pioneer Junior College. Is the time when candidates from various political parties can actually inspect and object any mistakes that they find in the nomination papers filed by the opponents. So we have about 10 more minutes for them to raise any objections. We understand that so far the process has been smooth. We have not been hearing of any objections raised by any of the political candidates, and we do understand that from the names that has been pinned on the notice board on the second floor of this school building, several names are on the board for the People's Action Party in the Choa Chu Kang GRC. We are seeing names like Mr. Gan Kim Yong, who is the Health Minister, and also Ms. Loh Yen Ling, who is the Permanent Secretary for Social and Family Development Ministry, and 2 newcomers for the P.B.B. That's Zulkarnain Abdul Rahim and Don Wee. Now, Mr. Zulkarnain and Mr. Wee is set to replace former Choa Chu Kang GRC members Zaki Muhammad and also backbencher Yi Chia Shing. Now, Mr. Gan and Ms. Loh also contested in the constituency in GE 2015 in the last election. The P.B.B. beat the opposition People's Power Party by securing 76.89% of the votes. This was an increase of 15.69% from GE 2011. Now, moving on to Hong Kong North SMC, we do understand that the incumbent grassroots advisor, Dr. Amy Kaur, is set to be nominated as the candidate for the People's Action Party. Dr. Kaur is 62 years old, and currently she is the Senior Minister of State for Health and the Environment and Water Ministry. Dr. Kaur entered politics in 2001 and has been in her Hong Kong North 14 years. Now, speaking to the media before she entered the nomination centre, Dr. Kaur said that it's a privilege to actually get nominated by the party to continue to serve her residents in Hong Kong North. Now, moving on to Pioneer SMC, it is a surprise that Mr. Cedric Foo is not standing in for the PAP. He's being replaced possibly by Mr. Patrick Tay. Mr. Patrick Tay, who is 48 years old, is a former member of the West Coast GRC team. He's also the Assistant Secretary General of the NTUC. He entered politics in 2011 and as a member of the Nee Soon GRC. Now, Mr. Tay is an advocate of PME workers, championing the concerns of professionals, managers and executives. Back to you.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Saifur Ismail. Speaking to us from Jurong Pioneer Secondary School. Now, plenty of names, plenty of movement going on in these last few minutes. It's now 12:25. That means there's 5 minutes to go before we finally get things revealed. Their parties have 5 minutes to contest any sort of mistakes they see in papers and submissions. Let's get the thoughts of our guest in studio, Gillian. Yeah. We've just seen a sort of a flurry of reports coming in just then. What stood out for you? Perhaps we can start with Tampines, now that we know for sure that Heng Swee Keat is no longer sort of the anchor minister there.
Yeah, well, that was what we were looking for, whether he would shift, and clearly he's gone to East Coast. And I think that the story in East Coast is that the opposition Workers' Party will be helmed by Nicole Seah. You'll remember her from the 2011 election. So now we know that the battle is between the PAP's Heng Swee Keat, who is former Deputy Prime Minister before Parliament was dissolved, and Nicole Seah, whom we thought would go to Marine Parade.
Well, Gillian, let me get your insight into that, specifically into the team that the Workers' Party are fielding in East Coast. We expected it to be, a tough fight. Yeah. Back in 2015, we were already expecting East Coast to be tough. Yes. It was they had their hopes. Yes. The Workers' Party. Yes. Now we've got Terence Tan as well on this team. He's well known in the Workers' Party in terms of the work that he's done. Back in 2015, of course, he contested in Marine Parade for the Workers' Party. What are your thoughts on the lineup that they've got here? Because they really needed to bring, the big guns for East Coast. Do you think they have? They've got Terence Tan, Dylan Ng, who, of course, did contest as well for Workers' Party in previous election, Abdul Sharif, and, of course, Nicole Seah.
Well, I bet that's why there was this sort of, I think last-minute tactical kind of deliberations, because I guess both parties, or rather the Workers' Party, had to sense who would be sent out to East Coast. And so what they did probably was to divide all the talent outside of the A team from Aljunied, between Marine Parade and East Coast. So what you've seen is the second rung of former NC MPs being fielded in Marine Parade. So with, it's a team that's clearly going to be headed up by Yi Zhen Zhong. And then a team that's not had the NC MP experience out to East Coast. So they're not sort of, in a way, wasting the people who have already some national profile. I think the biggest shift was the fact that the Workers' Party had 3 big guns stand down, right? So there was a need to kind of renew the ranks and then get the next rung up. So with Mr. Lau Tia Kiang standing down, Peng Eng Huat from Hougang, and then Chen Shao Mao, there was a need to bring in the next lot, Leon Pereira, and Leon Pereira and Gerald Giam, to Aljunied. So we thought those 2 individuals might be retained in East Coast. So once those shifted, then the question was, next priority, would it be Marine Parade or East Coast? And if you judge that East Coast is going to kind of have that star power, then you might want to shift and send out the younger team to, give them a bit of experience.
We have to get your take on, I mean, I have to talk to you about this so-called Nicole Seah effect for the Workers' Party, because we do remember her back in 2011, GE 2011. We do remember just how much popularity she had in those elections, even so much so that ESM Goh Chok Tong made reference to her when she stood with NSP back then for Marine Parade. Now she's back here with the Workers' Party, though, with a different party. How much effect is she going to have, positive or otherwise?
I think the Workers' Party is counting on that and counting on us remembering. But remember, she was in Marine Parade rather than East Coast. So I think it's been very many years, and she's not actually been on the scene. So I think you saw the former chairman of the People's Action Party, Lim Boon Heng, talk about the Aljunied team, and he said that voters also mind that people don't just drop in at the last minute. So he's counting on that effect for his PAP team in Aljunied. Then the question is, does it matter for the East Coast residents?
Well, we shall see.
Regard to the WP
we'll certainly
team.
see whether it pays dividends in this election or not.
Yeah, well, the clock is now 12:30 p.m., which means that the nominations are closed and the time for objections has passed.
Certainly has. The Group Assistant Returning Officers will be announcing the official candidates for this general election, and the candidates themselves will then have some time to speak.
And we'll be bringing you all the key highlights right here on CNA. And we'll get some thoughts from Gillian before we get to that announcement, which we'll be bringing to you live when it happens. Gillian, your thoughts from what we've seen this morning of how sort of the different parties have sort of positioned themselves with regard, we'll start with the PAP first perhaps, and sort of see how they've sort of almost countered, is that the right word, or anticipated where some of the opposition parties might be going?
Well, remember, they're the incumbents. And, to some extent, they'll know what are the population shifts, what's going to be the changes in the boundaries. And so I think they would have expected what West Coast was going to be like, and they know their personnel, who's going to be standing down and who, therefore, needs to succeed. So I think on the PAP side, you see that leadership renewal, that there was spare capacity in terms of ministers in quite a few GRCs. So we saw that in Jurong GRC, and now they've sent out Desmond Lee to West Coast to take over from a minister standing down. And we didn't know if that would happen, but that's happened. And then we saw that there was spare capacity in Tampines. And you've seen the PAP then send out the heaviest hitter of the 4G cohort to East Coast and say to East Coast voters, you matter to us. I think so. That's very clear. And then you see the Workers' Party, who's sort of fielding fewer candidates this time around, see some of their heavyweights stand down. So they too are in process of renewal. And I think that the pecking orders like this, first the A team and the younger set who have been being built up, set sort of there to anchor Aljunied. Then you see the next rung in Marine Parade, and Marine Parade saw on the PAP side the standing down of Goh Chok Tong. So there's renewal there. And so you have a little bit more of not quite balanced, because, there's a little more evenness in that sense. You have Edwin Tong and Tan Chuan Jin helming Marine Parade, and, Goh Chok Tong's successor, right? He's handed the baton to Dr. Tan See Leng, who's recognized as, one of the heavyweight guys among the new slate of PAP candidates. So you see WP going Aljunied and Hougang with Dennis Tan, and then Marine Parade, and then the newbies are sent to East Coast. So the pecking order seems to be that way for WP. Now, the key thing are the changes in SDP. They're very, very surprising, because in the run-up to nomination day, we thought that Paul Tambaya would be leading that team in Holland Bukit Timah, a known entity, but that's been swapped over with Tan Chi Se, who's returning to SDP. So, and then now we have a somewhat interesting play with Paul Tambaya heading one SMC and Chee Soon Juan heading another. They really have to, pull themselves together and really present themselves just single candidates. And I think that would be really just a test of whether they themselves as leaders are acceptable to the voters there versus very strong incumbents.
Yeah, you mentioned renewal for both the WP and the PAP. The PAP have actually introduced 27 new faces for this slate of potential candidates. This is an inevitability of sorts, but it does seem like this particular election is seeing a more emphasis on it, I suppose, with the emphasis of 4G leaders also taking the helm is also symbolic of that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, first off, we always expect the PAP, they say, to renew about a third of the list, right? They go in with for every election. But you see, if we believe that the 4G leaders are very much in charge of the campaign, the selection of the candidates, then and really that Heng Swee Keat's as first Assistant Secretary General, really waiting to take over the party, then if he had also quite a decisive pull on who are the candidates, then let's look at the PAP candidates. Very many of them, 17 out of the 27, more than half, are from the military and the private sector, public sector. Of course, they're kind of programmed for public service, really. But you see that many of them also have a couple of things. First, they talk about how they have humble beginnings, but made good. Second, that even those who were in the public service and the military have had time on the ground either as community leaders or as people who've had to work within the community, so that they are a little more multidimensional than just in very controlled bureaucratic settings. So you've seen that Heng Swee Keat sort of trying to say, I'm the leader who believes that Singapore still is able to be that land of opportunities, and my candidates personify that Singapore dream come true. And secondly, that we're not just picking candidates who will go with just the head, but we recognize that they must have time on the ground. We're going to assess them for whether the ground warms up to them, presumably the constituents that they have to work with, either in civil society or community groups or grassroots, or in the case of that first lady Brigadier General, who's in Marymount, that she's now heading up a unit that helps people who are displaced in the workplace be skilled again in order to find new jobs. So that's a very not a sort of easy thing to do, really. And so I think the character of the new candidates sort of somewhat reflect what Heng Swee Keat's been trying to do since he came on the scene, in 2011.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, over the years, some pundits have cast this jaundiced eye at times at PAP's selection process. That came into question briefly this year, and it did cause one of the potential candidates, Ivan Lim, to withdraw his candidacy. Fortunes can sort of spin on a dime here.
Yeah. I think the PAP leaders have also recognized that it happens. We can think back to 2011 when that happened as well, or some time further back. But I think that what it is when you first introduce the candidates, and now in the era of social media, and we're talking about this being really the internet election that we've been waiting for, then there's every chance that people who've had some interaction with you are going to share, if you're a candidate, share with the rest of the public what has been your experience with him or her. And then I think some factual issues have to be set out clearly as well, as we saw with the candidate Ng Ling Ling, whether she had actually started out the Social Service Training Institute, and she's clarified that what she meant was that she was part of a pioneering team. So I think it's very important to be cognizant that if you are stumping for the incumbent political party, I mean, that is just the burden you must bear. And I think that's what they need to do. Of course, since then, the Progress Singapore party sort of brought up the question of the PAP screening process. But let's recognize that Singaporeans and voters are not as sort of stringent with the candidates from the opposition parties. We don't see that, coming up as much.
So
there
I mean,
is sort of,
to that
it's
point,
not double standards, but it's just that the PAP puts itself up at a certain on a certain level, and therefore it invites that scrutiny. It doesn't mind it.
But to that point, then, Gillian, how effective is that strategy? Then, how does it land with voters to say, we are selecting from a broad swathe of Singapore society, from people with quote-unquote humble backgrounds? How does that go over with the electorate?
I think that's what the PAP's got to put out as sort of its message, not for us to help them. And I think the opposition as well will also want to say that, on the other hand, its candidates are also professionals, they're credible, they've always had a certain kind of background, a certain kind of journey, but we're now trying to match the PAP in terms of technocratic nous about how to deal with town council issues, about dealing with public policy questions. And you'll see the WP's manifesto, and you see, as always, they're very detailed, and they're offering alternative policy suggestions to complement what actually it views as the government policies.
Does that become a challenge then for Workers' Party also to overcome? I mean, we know they still have that sort of ongoing cloud over them, over Hougang and Aljunied Town Council. I think to get past that for their voters?
Yeah. It's been an ongoing saga since 2012. I think nobody's sort of forgotten it. And unfortunately, the ruling, the High Court ruling, that came through in November 2019, brought on by an independent panel appointed by the Town Council to ask the question, have monies been well managed? Unfortunately, that ruling came against, the former Secretary General of Workers' Party, Lau Tia Kiang, and the Chairman, Ms. Sylvia Lim. So I think that's not going to go away. I think that has to be explained. But the Workers' Party has been proactive to say, well, we're now fielding far more people who are professional, and they have the capacity to run town council well. I think that's quite important, that you always come back to be able to say what your solution is, what you're going to do to kind of manage certain deficits.
You mentioned Dr. Tan See Leng earlier on.
Yes.
On the subject of these new faces, the slate that we've seen. That one stood out for me in a way because, he represents a type of individual, a CEO, formerly with, of course, IHH Healthcare, who the PAP's been trying to attract these kind of potential candidates into the party. We do know that he had been walking the ground with ESM Goh Chok Tong for some time now.
Yes.
So there was speculation that he might be brought in. What are your thoughts on PAP's ability to be able to draw candidates like him going forward?
Well, I think there are quite a few of them as well. I think of Edward Chia, who's, I would say, a star catch for the PAP, running, a sort of SME that,
Gillian, we're going to have to stop you there. We're just getting word that the Group Assistant Returning Officer is going to be appearing very shortly to begin announcing the confirmed contests. So let's listen in and see if we can get that for you. Just hearing they're not quite ready for us yet. So
Returning officer, not quite there yet.
He hasn't quite returned to us.
We were talking about Edward Chia from Timber.
Yeah. I think there are a few more entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs on the PAP slate of candidates. And I think that's quite interesting to take a look at. Having said that, you see that Ms. Mariam from Boston Consulting and Ms. Chia, they're both people who have been part of the government's blue ribbon committees looking at how to renew and refresh Singapore's economic strategy. So they've actually been exposed to kind of the policy deliberations on Singapore's future. So they're not actually from the cold in. So there's that, I think, that aspect that we should bear in mind. I think that Dr. Tan See Leng certainly is a heavy hitter among the new candidates, and I think that's what Mr. Goh Chok Tong really wanted, and I think that's sort of appropriate. We would not have expected anything less.
A quick reaction for you while we're waiting for the returning officer to begin announcing those names. Did it surprise you in this election that in the lead-up
nomination
for nomination day that essentially we thought about there might be an alliance, some type of grand alliance among the opposition parties. We didn't see that traditional powwow, that big meeting where they would trade horses and so on to try and get on the same page. But still, they seem to kind of work out some kind of plan.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Actually, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that's what we were all asking ourselves. But let's say a couple of things. First, that as analysts, we kind of look at whether there are free and fair, contestable elections in Singapore. We can always declare there is definitely the contestation. That's the first point. The second point, we've seen the opposition work together more tightly in the past. But there were fewer of them, and now there are more. And the idea is to no longer try to come together and just allow the P.A.P. to become government on nomination day. So I think we were nonetheless expecting that there would be some kind of collaboration and a big conference. That's usually what happens. It's a conference, but held behind closed doors, and then it's a discussion to avoid three-cornered fights. And so your observation is quite right, Don. I think in the lead-up, we were given to understand that there were lots of bilateral discussions, but not that party conference. Previously, we'd seen Tan Ji say he was interested in that kind of unity.
2020. Announcement of results on nomination day. Electoral division of McPherson. Tin Pei Ling of the People's Action Party and Goh Meng Seng of the People's Power Party are the candidates who have been nominated for the electoral division of McPherson. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on the 10th of July, 2020.
Dearest voters of McPherson, I have served steadfastly for you in Parliament and in McPherson, caring for you and rejuvenating our estate, our home. This election is about your lives, your jobs, your future, and about who has the best ability to help you through this difficult time. Please let me serve you. At McPherson, I care. Please vote for me, Tin Pei Ling. 亲爱的麦波生选民，我在过去的10年里，一直的不懈的为您在国会里发声，争取你的利益，为你在麦波生区里为你服务。我希望可以继续的为你服务。这次大选是有关你的工作、你的生命，还有你的未来。请让我继续与你同行，请支持我，投票给我陈佩玲。谢谢大家。
亲爱的麦波森选民，我是吴明胜。这一次此次到来竞选，我看到很多贫穷、老屋，还有很多问题在你的区域。这不单是麦波森的问题，麦波森是最老的一个地区，所以我希望你能把我选进国会。把这个国家的议题跑下来，我们所面对的不只是房屋问题，还有退休金的问题、公积金的问题，这都是跟全国有关联的。McPherson voters, you can get all you want from P.B.B. and the PA, but you must remember who can represent you, your interests in CPF HDB and healthcare policies in the debates. Thank you.
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announcement of result on nomination day for the Electoral Division of Marymount. Gan Xiao Huang of the People's Action Party and Ang Yong Guan of the Progress Singapore Party are the candidates who have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Marymount. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10th July 2020. The P.B.B. candidate.
Dear residents of Marymount SMC, I'm Gan Xiao Huang. Thank you for your support. Marymount may be a new SMC, but many of you have lived here for a long time. P.A.P. MPs have been serving you and walking with you the journey right from the start. We have built one of the best and most beautiful towns in Singapore. We have forged strong community bonds through the years. Vote for P.A.P. so that we can continue to serve you. Vote for P.A.P. so that together we can build a better future. 亲爱的玛丽盟居民，我是严小芳，让我们齐心协力，共创更美好的将来。请投人民行动党一票。Undila P.A.P. Undila P.A.P.
Dear fellow Singaporeans and voters of Marymount, I am Dr. Ang Yong Guan. Please vote for us. Get us into Parliament. We want to deny P.A.P. the two-thirds majority. Send 32 of us, PSP plus alternative parties, to get into Parliament. For country, for people. You deserve better. 亲爱的玛丽盟居民，支持我们前进党，请投前进党一票，为国为民，把我们带进国会。谢谢各位，谢谢各位。
Must be adjourned for directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10 July 2020. May I invite the P.A.P. candidate?
Bishan and Toa Payoh rallied together and worked with community leaders. Through it all, we have continued to improve our town and the lives of our residents. Over the last 5 years, we have made many improvements to Bishan and Toa Payoh. The next few months will be difficult as the COVID-19 outbreak has affected our economy badly. Together, we must help residents through this difficult period, especially those with financial difficulties. As we have done before, we will get through this crisis together. My colleagues and I humbly ask for your vote so that through ups and downs, we will continue to improve Bishan and Toa Payoh and your lives year after year. Vote P.A.P. 亲爱的璧山大拜窑居民，我很荣幸在这20年来获选成为你们的国会议员，非常感谢你的一直以来的支持和鼓励。接下来的几个月将会有艰难，我和我的同僚恳求您的一票，让我们再来届继续为您和您的家人服务，持续改善璧山大拜窑的设施以及您的生活。谢谢大家。
Para penduduk Bishan Toa Payoh GRC yang disayangi dan dihormati, undilah P.A.P. untuk membina masa depan yang lebih baik lagi untuk anda. Terima kasih.
Dear residents of Bishan Toa Payoh, please vote for P.A.P. Maka saya kachika vakali yunggal.
亲爱的璧山大拜窑居民们，我们要保护人民，共建未来，请投人民行动党一票。
Salam sejahtera kepada penduduk-penduduk Bishan Toa Payoh. Kami daripada SPP ingin berterima kasih kerana mencalonkan kami untuk bertanding di pilihan raya ini. Jikalau kami diberi peluang untuk mewakili anda di parlimen, kami akan bekerja keras dan mengutarakan alternatif-alternatif polisi yang membangunkan negara. Undilah Singapura, Parti Rakyat Singapura.
Residents of Bishan Toa Payoh GRC, we thank you for your support during our walkabout. We promise that we will fight for you and we will make it a good fight with the People's Action Party. Let us debate on policies for you. Our Secretary General, Mr. Steve Chia, has asked the most number of questions when he was an NCMP. Rest assured, we will be adding on to that list of questions which we will be demanding answers for. Vote the SPP. Walk with us for a better tomorrow.
Dear residents of Bishan Toa Payoh GRC, thank you for giving us your consideration. The SPP, together, we want to make a more balanced parliament. We want more accountability in parliament. And together with all the other political parties, we want to deny P.A.P. a two-thirds so that the Constitution cannot be amended as and when it suits the benefits of the P.A.P. party. Help us together. Let us bring about a better tomorrow for you, your family, and your loved ones. Thank you very much.
璧山大拜窑的选民，请投新加坡人民党一票。谢谢。
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of Bukit Batok. Murali Pillay of the People's Action Party and Chi Shun Juan of the Singapore Democratic Party are the candidates who have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Bukit Batok. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10 July 2020.
P.B.B 居民，大家好。Para penduduk-penduduk Bukit Batok, salam sejahtera. Bukit Batok Makale, Anivarkum Wanakam. Dear Bukit Batok residents, this election is about choosing the right person to lead us out of this terrible storm. I have served in Bukit Batok for 20 years, 4 of which as your MP. I will present to you my manifesto, which contains plans to help less fortunate families affected by the pandemic and more. The objective is to make Bukit Batok a stronger community with a brighter future. Please vote P.B.B. Please vote for me, Murali Pillai. Thank you.
Let me know whenever I'm supposed to start. 你可以 start 了。各位五级巴豆的选民，我是徐顺全。这个竞选大选很重要，我希望会得到你们的支持，会得到你们的票。因为这个大选的时候，我是觉得我们有一些很多民生的问题，不要再让行动党来跟我们讲一些很甜蜜的话。 但是事情也做不到。Dear Bukit Batok voters, my name is Chee Soon Juan. I'm from the Singapore Democratic Party. I'll be your candidate in this election. We're looking forward to your support, your vote. And this election is about choosing the candidate to represent you in Parliament, choosing somebody on a full-time basis that can take you and help you come to be your MP on a full-time basis, and I'll show you in the coming days how my opponent in Bukit Batok has not lived up to his promises, and this is going to be a major issue in Bukit Batok. Thank you so much. I hope to see you on the ground and get your vote in this election. Thank you, everybody.
Parliamentary General Elections 2020, announcement of result on nomination day, electoral division of Aljunied. Victor Lai Tiam Fat, Alex Yeo Sheng Chai, Samsu Kamar bin Muhammad Razali, Chan Hui Yi, and Chua Eng Leong of the People's Action Party, and Pritam Singh, Sylvia Lim, Muhammad Faisal bin Abdul Manap, Leon Pereira, and Gerald Giam Yen Song of the Workers' Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the electoral division of Aljunied. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10 July 2020. The candidates from P.B.B, please.
Dear voters, dear residents of Aljunied, we have been serving you from the heart continuously because we want you to bring us home. My name is Victor Lai, 我的名字是赖天发。
My name is Shamsu Kamar bin Muhammad Razali.
I'm Chan Hui Yi, Chen Hui Yi.
I am Chua Eng Leong, Cai Rongliang.
And I'm Alex Yeo, Yang Shen Cai.
Para penduduk Aljunied, semenjak pilihan raya yang lalu, kami bersama dan terus berkhidmat untuk anda. Masanya sudah tiba. Kami mohonkan mandat anda, undilah PAP, bawalah kami pulang.
居民们，2019冠状病毒已经深深地影响着我们的生活。我们人民行动党阿育尼集选区团队们希望能与您在社区里呢有本地的援助计划，让您和家人更能够还继续的能够梦想成真，继续的努力。我们希望，我们向往着您跟您一起并肩作战，风雨同舟，服务你们。
Dear voters, we've been serving you from the heart. Give us this opportunity to serve you even better.
Vanakkam, ungalukku sevai seya. Engalukku oru vaipu ali yonga. Mika nandri. 各位阿育尼集选区的选民们，下午好。我们5位候选人 已经在阿育尼集选区服务了一段时间，一直以来以用心用力2大准则为居民们服务。我们希望阿育尼集选区的选民们能够让我们有一个机会再次代表你们，谢谢。
We are your PAP candidates for Aljunied GRC. We are still in the middle of a crisis. Our lives, our jobs, our future. For you are at the center of what we do. It's been 9 years, Aljunied. It's time. Bring us home.
Assalamualaikum. Pengundi GRC Aljunied yang dihormati. Selama 9 tahun, pasukan Parti Pekerja telah berkhidmat sebagai anggota parlimen anda. Kami mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih di atas penghormatan yang diberi. Kami meminta agar diberi peluang untuk terus berkhidmat kepada anda buat 5 tahun mendatang. Kami akan usaha untuk berkhidmat secara yang terbaik untuk memenuhi pengharapan anda. Jika ada sebarang kekurangan, kami meminta pemaafan dan kefahaman anda dan berjanji untuk melakukan yang lebih terbaik. Kami akan terus bersuara dengan mantap di parlimen untuk anda dan masa depan anda. Ini adalah pilihan raya yang penting. Undi anda adalah amat berharga. Manfaatkan undi anda, undilah Parti Pekerja.
亲爱的阿育尼集选区选民，非常感谢你们过去9年里对工人党的信任与支持，也很荣幸能成为你们在国会的代言人。接下来的5年，我们会继续努力为你们服务，争取民权，谋求福利，从而改善大家的生活，让新加坡成为更美好的家园。这次关键性的大选，请把你神圣的一票投给工人党，让您的一票成就未来。
Voters of Aljunied GRC,
For the last 9 years, the Workers' Party team has served as your members of parliament. It has been an honor and a privilege for us to have done so. We have put our hearts and our minds to serve you in parliament, in the constituency, and in the town council, no matter what the challenge or what the obstacle. We ask that you vote for us so that we can continue to serve you. We will strive to meet your expectations. If we have fallen short, we ask for your understanding and will strive to do better. The Workers' Party will fight for you, the future of Singapore, and our fellow Singaporeans in Parliament. Your vote on polling day is crucial. Make your vote count. Vote for the Workers' Party. Thank you.
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of East Coast. Heng Swee Keat, Muhammad Maliki bin Osman, Cheryl Chan Wei Lin, Tan Kiat Hao, and Tan Su Neo Jessica of the People's Action Party, and Abdul Sharif bin Abu Qasim, Fu Sik Kwan, Terence Tan Lee Chen, Dylan Ng Fu Eng, and Xia Xueling Nicole Rebecca of the Workers' Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of East Coast. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10th July 2020. Let me now invite the People's Action Party to deliver their thank you speeches.
When do you start? You guys know when you start.
Okay.
No, stand away. Stand away. So that we can see. Maintain the distance. Give a distance. Para pengundi GRC East Coast, saya Muhammad Maliki Osman. Pasukan kami dari P.B.B bersedia untuk terus berkhidmat untuk anda. Lebih-lebih lagi dalam kita mengharungi cabaran dan krisis yang kita hadapi sekarang ini. Undilah kami demi kehidupan kita, pekerjaan kita, dan masa depan kita. Terima kasih.
Dear residents of East Coast, I'm Jessica Tan. I thank you for the support and privilege to serve you these last 14 years. I ask for your support to continue to serve you and your family. Together, we care for East Coast. Thank you.
东海岸居民，大家下午好，我是陈慧玲。在东海岸，关心您的福祉和忧虑，一直是我们主要的任务。我们会继续的努力，与你携手的创造一个温馨、更具有包容性的家园。
Dear residents of East Coast GRC, I'm Kiat Hao. It will be my privilege to serve you. I hope to meet all of you soon. You see me coming around, please come up and say hi.
Dear residents of East Coast GRC, first I want to thank you very much for your strong support to Mr. Lim Swee Se and the P.B.B team for serving all of you over these years. Now, I also want to thank my Tampines residents for first electing me into Parliament. Tampines is now helmed by Minister Masagos, and I have every confidence in him and the team. Now, COVID-19 has plunged the world into a period of profound uncertainty, into a major crisis on many fronts: healthcare, economy, social, and geopolitical. The People's Action Party has a plan to enable us to overcome this crisis, and has a plan to emerge stronger from this. So I look forward to the support of all Singaporeans for the People's Action Party. For our East Coast residents, we also have a plan for the East Coast. we have East Coast, Singapore, we have a together at East Coast plan. We care at East Coast. So we look forward to working closely together with our residents to enable the East Coast and the whole of Singapore to emerge from this stronger. So we humbly ask for your support, for your strong endorsement, so that the team can continue to serve you and serve fellow Singaporeans in the coming years. Okay. 亲爱的东海岸居民，谢谢你们这么多年。
Okay. Can we...
Voters of East Coast GRC, my name is Nicole Sia, and we are so honored to be your candidates from the Workers' Party. The Workers' Party has been working very hard on the ground for you the last 5 years, and we will stand firm. We will remain courageous, and we will always offer all of you a vote for fairness and balance. Make your vote count. Vote the Workers' Party. Thank you.
亲爱的东海岸集选区的选民，大家好，我是福车冠，是你们的候选人之一。工人党在近几年里都马不停蹄地在东海岸活动，帮助居民、走访选民。我们会继续成为你的声音，希望你将这一票投给工人党，让这一票成就你的未来。
Tuan-puan penduduk East Coast, nama saya Abdul Sharif Abu Kasim. Pilihlah parti yang akan lebih memahami dan merasakan apa yang anda merasakan. Manfaatkan undi anda. Undilah parti pekerja.
亲爱的东海岸居选区选民，我是黄富荣。新加坡百姓福利是新加坡政府的责任，生活费高，负担重。我们听到你的名声，我们会尽一切努力出战东海岸。为了我们的下一代，为了我们的儿女，请把票投给工人党，让您的一票成就未来。
My name is Terence Tan. My teammates and I are privileged to meet Mr. Heng Swee Keat and his team. Whoever is the victor, I always pray that members of parliament will work tirelessly for their residents. Thank you.
Parliamentary General Election 2020, announcement of result on nomination day, Electoral Division of Ang Mo Kio, Lee Hsien Loong, Gan Thiam Poh, Daryl David, Ng Ling Ling, and Nadia Ahmad Shamdin of the People's Action Party, and Kenneth Andrew Jeratnam, Zhu Lai Cheng, Yo Yao Hui Charles, So Guan Soon, and Noraini Binte Yunus of the Reform Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Ang Mo Kio. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10 July 2020. I now invite the candidates from People's Action Party.
Dear voters of Ang Mo Kio GRC,
I'm honored to be standing as a candidate again for Ang Mo Kio GRC together with my P.B.B. colleagues on my GRC team. Thank you for supporting me and my team in Ang Mo Kio, looking after you for many years. Please vote for the P.B.B. Ang Mo Kio team again this time so that we can work together and make Ang Mo Kio the best place for all our residents to live, work and play. Thank you very much. 各位亲爱的红毛桥选民，谢谢您给我和我的团队多年来的支持，让人民行动党的议员能够代表你们、照顾你们，把红毛桥办得更好，把你们的生活办得更完善。这一次，我再一次带领行动党的团队在红毛桥竞选，请投人民行动党一票。 让我们能够改善我们的市政，同时改善大家的生活，把新加坡办得更好。谢谢大家。
Para pengundi di Ang Mo Kio, undilah P.B.B. memberi kami satu peluang untuk terus berkhidmat kepada para penduduk di Ang Mo Kio. Dear residents, supporters and friends, thank you for letting us walk this journey with you. Please vote our team so that we may continue to do so.
首先，先让我感谢我们尊敬的对手，亲爱的红毛桥居民们，我们都是一家人。希望你能再给我们委托与支持，并一起努力。 克服以及战胜疫情，谢谢。
To our P.B.B. party members, volunteers and supporters, thank you for all your hard work. We look forward to a good campaign together. And to our Ang Mo Kio GRC residents and voters, thank you for giving us this opportunity to serve you. Please support us. Please vote for us and continue to let us do the good work they have been doing for many years now. Vote P.B.B.
亲爱的红毛桥集选区选民们，谢谢你们一直以来的信任支持，请继续投票支持人民行动党，让我们为你服务，一起克服挑战，一起共创家园。
Undilah P.B. untuk menjamin kesehatan kita, kehidupan kita dan masa depan kita. 请投人民行动党一票，让我们 守护生命，保障工作，共创未来。
To dear voters and residents of Ang Mo Kio GRC, my team, my Reform Party, I stand here in front of you. We are going to bring your voice and discontent to the Parliament. Therefore, we will need your help to vote for the Reform Party and put us in the Parliament so as we can ask for accountability and transparency.
Residents of Ang Mo Kio GRC, the Reform Party has always stood for democratic accountability. It was founded by Mr. Jeyaratnam and who was returned, he was brought into parliament by the voters of Cheng San GRC, of which Ang Mo Kio is part of today. The Reform Party will forever oppose the values that the People's Action Party stands for, of social Darwinism and cruelty to one's fellow men and those who are below each other. The residents of Ang Mo Kio have a right, like every other Singaporean, to know how much is in the national reserves and to know what is Madam Ho Ching's salary. The residents of Ang Mo Kio have a right to an answer to the return of their CPF, to a restoration of their aging HDB flat, and to a right to the civil and fundamental liberties that have been abrogated in Singapore. The Reform Party will fight unceasingly and unwaveringly for each and every resident of Ang Mo Kio, which is the biggest electoral division in Singapore in terms of electors, to have in Singapore a society where each and every member of the society stands equal, and the spectre of elitism and educational elitism and other forms of elitism whatsoever are abolished forever.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum. Saya Nuraini binti Yunus. Berbahagia mendamping anda semua dari Ang Mo Kio GRC. Saya akan membantu Parti Reform untuk masuk ke Parlimen dan saya perlukan undi anda untuk membantu kami semua representkan anda atau mewakili anda semua di Parlimen. Sila undi kami Reform Party. Terima kasih.
Nampai Sun, Reform Party. Ningen ipri irkenga, saudara-saudara.
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of Tanjong Pagar. Indrani Turai Raja, Chan Chun Sing, Joan Pereira, Eric Chua Swee Leong, and Alvin Tan Sheng Hui of the People's Action Party, and Chua Teck Leong Michael, Soon Jin Wei Terence, Harish Pillay, Abbas bin Kasmani, and Loh Wei Ling of the Progress Singapore Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Tanjong Pagar. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10th July 2020.
Dear residents and voters of Tanjong Pagar GRC, I'm Indrani Raja. You know our team. This is Chan Chun Sing, Joan Pereira, Eric Chua, Alvin Tan. We have been serving you for the last 5 years in different ways, and we come to you to ask you for the privilege of serving you again. We know you, and you know us. We know your children, your families, our senior citizens, our elderly, our hawkers, all the people who are part of Tanjong Pagar. And we will make sure that we look after you. We are facing the crisis of our generation, the storm of a century. Jobs will be affected, times will be difficult, but this thing we promise you, this team from Tanjong Pagar will never let you down. We will always look out for you. We will work with you. Vote P.B.B. for our lives, our jobs, our future.
亲爱的丹戎巴葛区选民，
过去的60多年来，人民行动党与你们一起走过风风雨雨，风雨同舟，得到你们强而有力的委托，是我们的荣幸。在接下来的5年，我们的国家将面临着非常严峻的挑战，能不能度过这个难关，还得看我们能不能一起团结一致。我们的团队，人民行动党团队，希望在这次的大选能得到大家的再次的强而有力的委托，让我们携手的把大家的生活照顾好，把丹戎8个的一切照顾好，把新加坡的一切照顾好。我们会牢记李光耀先生曾告诉我们，我们从政就是要把新加坡照顾好，要把丹戎8个区照顾好，要把人民照顾好。这一点，我们的团队会牢记在心。我们一定会携手和大家一起度过这个最艰难的时刻，在我们的独立过程中前所未有的一个挑战。谢谢大家的支持，请投人民行动党1票。
Dear residents of Tanjong Pagar GRC, I'm Michael Chua. My team, comprising of Abbas, Wendy, Terence, and Harish, are deeply honored today to be able to represent Progress Singapore Party to seek the vote from the residents of Tanjong Pagar GRC. Today, we are holding this general election in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. This is something that's unprecedented in the history of the country. While this may not be the best time to hold the election, nonetheless, the decision has been made and we will have to go through with the exercise. Come polling day, the voters of Tanjong Pagar GRC and the voters elsewhere in Singapore will have to make a decision. This is the time for them to decide to give a grade to the government. A grade to assess whether they have done what they should have done in the management of this crisis, whether they have made good use of the reserves that our forefathers have accumulated through the years to get us to the stage where we are today. While it is also a chance to grade the ruling party, do also vote for us because we believe that Progress Singapore Party has a better vision for the future. Because we believe in leading Singapore to a more compassionate society where we are no longer talking about minimum wages and we are looking for a concept called living wages and other policy proposals that we will share with you during the course of the campaign. So we believe that you deserve a better government and you deserve a better member of parliament. Thank you.
Salam sejahtera. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang dihormati sekalian, nama saya Abbas bin Kasmani. Undilah PSP kerana kami ingin mewakili anda dengan baik. Terima kasih.
Hello， 大家好，我個名係慧玲，或者你都可以叫我 Wendy。我而家係一名知識產權律師，而 而家我會同我嘅團隊喺Tanjong Pagar呢度選舉。呢個選舉我哋有2大方案。第一，我哋會針對政府屋99年地產步步退化嘅問題，提出我哋會翻新嘅提議，希望你哋會支持我哋。唔該。
大家好，我是孙俊伟，目前是在新加坡航空当一名飞机师。我们很希望代表丹戎巴葛局选区所有的选民为你们服务。在接下来的几天，我们将与你们分享我们在丹戎巴葛的计划，还有我们希望在政策上可以看到所有的改进。我希望你可以抽出一点时间了解我们在此全部的候选人。希望你可以支持新加坡前进党一票，谢谢。
Parliamentary General Election 2020, announcement of results on nomination day. Electoral Division of Jurong, Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Tan Wu Meng, Rahayu binti Mazam, Huang Weizong Sean, and Xie Yaoquan of the People's Action Party, and Ravi Philemon, Liana Damira, Michelle Lee Juan, Nicholas Tang, and Alec Tok of the Red Dog United are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Jurong. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10 July 2020.
My dear residents of Jurong GRC, first let me say that the P.B.B team is very thankful that we have a contest in Jurong. We have a team that has been dedicated to Jurong for several years, each of us. Madam Rahayu and Dr. Tan for 5 years, Xie Yaoquan for 5 years, Sean Huang for 10 years, and myself for 19 years. And I really want to thank our residents for allowing us to serve all these years. And especially want to thank the residents, the many residents who've come forward to work with us to help others in need during these difficult times. I also want to compliment Mr. Desmond Lee and Mr. Ang Wei Ning for working in the Jurong team to build up the community over the last 10 years. Our work continues. There's a lot of work ahead. If we are elected, our first priority is to help all our residents see through this crisis. Anyone who's lost a job, anyone with kids who need looking after, anyone who has elderly parents who need care, helping our residents see through the crisis. But we also want to keep improving and building on what we have achieved over the years. Our work never stops to build a stronger and warmer Jurong community. Thank you very much.
大家好，首先我们想感谢玉朗的居民们这5年来的支持和友谊。我们团队里的每一位成员都在玉朗服务了多年，我们希望能够有机会继续为玉朗的居民们服务。前面的路将很艰辛，我们的承诺是，如果能有机会当选，我们将竭尽所能，与居民们共度难关，共创更美好的生活。谢谢。
Terima kasih kepada penduduk Jurong yang telah menyokong kami, memberi kami peluang untuk berkhidmat pada anda dan membantu satu sama lain. Kami berterima kasih kepada semua kerana memberi sokongan itu dan kami ingin terus berkhidmat kepada penduduk Jurong, terutama sekali melalui masa-masa yang sukar ini. Jadi kami harap sekiranya kami dapat dipilih lagi, kami akan terus membina di atas usaha kami dan terus memperbaiki kehidupan penduduk di Jurong.
Residents of Jurong GRC, thank you for your continued support. We've been working together for many years and we cherish those relationships. We hope to get your continued support. We'll serve you with full heart and full effort. Thank you.
What makes Jurong special is the sense of community. Different backgrounds, different races looking out for one another. And with your support, if we're elected, we'll do our best to make Jurong even better, a more caring home for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry you had to rush, because I took a bit longer.
No, only I. Dear residents of Jurong GRC, we have been asked why Red Dot United has decided to field our team in Jurong this GE 2020. We are indeed a new party, but our team members have been serving Singapore in the political and civil society for many years. 我们虽然是新加坡最新的反对党，可是我们的队员已经多年为我国的社会贡献了多数年的功夫。Even before Red Dot United was officially formed, we reached out to talk to our brother and sister parties in the opposition space. We know that very few wanted to contest Jurong GRC. It is well known that Senior Minister Tharman is the most popular politician in Singapore, respected by everyone across the political spectrum. Jurong GRC also had the highest proportion of votes for P.B.B. in the last general election. Red Dot United thought long and hard, but we feel the general elections is about more than one person or one party. The elections are about the people of Singapore having a choice to support the leaders that they want to represent them, and also for the people to point the leaders in the direction they want the country to take. For Red Dot United, this election is not about winning or losing. It is about standing up to be counted, and it is about the voices of the people of Jurong being counted as well. 大选不只是关于一个人或者一个党，大选是让全新加坡的居民有个机会投票给他们选择的议员，也是我们的公民义务。We cannot shy away from a battle just because it will be a tough one. We want to show our children and our people there is hope we can make a difference and be heard. Win or lose, Red Dot United is here to stay. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is going ahead to do the right thing, even in the face of daunting odds. 对红点同心党，大选的重要不是获胜的目标，我们要为孩子、为国家以身作则，见义勇为，绝不放弃。希望玉郎居民能够明白我们红点同心党的诚意，支持我们，投我们一票。谢谢。We have put up a good team to serve the needs of Jurong GRC. We hope the residents will give us their trust and remember, every vote points our leaders in the right direction. Please give us your encouragement and your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of Pasir Ris, Punggol. Muhammad Syahrial bin Muhammad Taha. Teo Chee Hian. Tan Kok Min Desmond. Yo Wan Ling. And Janil Arusa Putucherry of the People's Action Party. And Lim K. Chiao Jiray, Prabhu, son of Ramachandran, Muhammad Nasir bin Ismail, Goh Kiawa, and Vineshwari VR of the People's Voice, and Lim Pak Chuan Desmond, Abu bin Muhammad, Haminder Pal Singh, son of Guchuran Singh, Kushwadi bin Atnawi, and Kelvin Ong Su Huat of the Singapore Democratic Alliance are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the electoral division of Pasir Ris, Punggol. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Election Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10th July 2020. Let me now invite the People's Action Party to deliver their speeches.
Salam sejahtera. Para penduduk Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, terima kasih atas sokongan anda selama ini. Kami sepasukan diketuai SMTO bersedia untuk terus berkhidmat kepada anda. Untuk kehidupan kita, pekerjaan kita, dan masa hadapan kita. Undilah kami, undilah P.B.B.
亲爱的白沙榜儿选民们，我们今天站在这里，团结一致，希望能够得到您的信赖和支持。我们会努力地创造一个安居乐业的白沙榜儿，请投我们人民行动党一票，一起守护生命，保障工作，共创未来。
Para penduduk Pasir Ris Punggol, terima kasih kepada anda untuk sokongan anda selama ini. Saya harap pasukan P.B.B kami boleh mendapat sokongan anda sekali lagi untuk berkhidmat untuk semua para penduduk Pasir Ris Punggol. 亲爱的白沙榜儿的居民，感谢大家这多年来 给我们大力的支持，我希望行动党的团队能得到再次你们的大力支持跟信任，为您服务。Dear residents of Pasir Ris Punggol, thank you for your support for the P.B.B team over so many years. We have seen your children grow and your grandchildren as well. We hope to continue to work with you in the years ahead. This COVID crisis is the most serious crisis that I've encountered in my 40 years of public service. We need a trusted and able government now so that we can see this crisis through together. Here in Pasir Ris Punggol, we have assembled and offer you a diverse team with new energy and ideas and experience. I will be asking, with your support, Sharil Taha and Desmond Tan to join me in Pasir Ris so that the three of us will look after our residents in Pasir Ris. And I will be asking, with your support, Yo Wan Ling and Dr. Janil, whom you know well, to serve our residents in Punggol together with our colleague Sun Xueling in Punggol West constituency so that we can develop Punggol in an integrated way. And all of us promise to serve you for the future. Please vote for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I take off my mask?
Yes.
Dear residents of Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, my name is Lim K. Chiao Jere, and my friends call me Simon Lim. On behalf of my party, People's Voice, I'd like to say a heartfelt thank you to all the residents who have loved us, helped us, and support us in all that we do and believed in us. People's Voice is a new political party, but we are not a stupid, irresponsible, or troublemaker party. Many things under the P.B.B. have gone wrong in recent times. There are too many to mention. The COVID-19 is one recent example, still very clear in our memory. When things go wrong in our country, and for our citizens to keep quiet, pretend, look the other way, never mind about this and that when human lives are at stake, that is not good citizenry. That is the mentality and attitude of sheep and slave. We are not sheep and slaves in Singapore. Please support us. The P.B.B. started many years ago, also as an opposition party. The people at that time took a chance with them, and the rest is history. Please believe in People's Voice. Please support People's Voice. I thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Prabhu, and please vote for People's Voice. People's Voice is your choice. It's about putting people first, ordinary people, the decent, honest, hardworking people. The message is clear, folks. Putting people first. Let's make Singapore our home again. Let's regain our dignity, our country, and our future. Thank you.
Okay, that's all.
Ya, go. Salam sejahtera pada para pengundi Pasir Ris Punggol. Nama saya Muhammad Nasir bin Ismail. Kami di dalam People's Voice telah menjalankan kerja-kerja groundworks di Pasir Ris Punggol selama lebih kurang setahun lebih. Dan kami tahu masalah para pengundi kita. Jadi saya harap para pengundi dapat mengundi kami supaya kami dapat menjalankan kerja.
Adjust on your mic. Adjust your mic. Adjust your mic.
Yeah.
Huh?
Is it on?
Oh no no. Adjust your mic. Adjust. Okay. Adjust your
That's
mic.
when you come center. That's when you come center.
Very good. I speak first.
Yes, please.
Okay. Can I start it? Okay. 亲爱的白沙榜儿集选区选民，你们好！过去13年，我们每次大选过后都没有离开你们，而且更不离不弃的，更加努力的为你们服务。因为我们的党相信居民的利益永远摆在我们的之上，尤其是对年长者以及 弱势的群体。过去5年来，我们在白沙反而集选区总共启动了7个免费的分饭服务站，提供给我们的年长者以及弱势群体，还有附近做工的打油工人以及保安跟扫地工人。对于新加坡人民所面对的问题，我们对新加坡的宽松的移民政策，使新加坡的年轻人要找到一份好的工作，面对种种的挑战和困难，生活成本飙升，中央公积金储蓄看到数字摸不到钞票，过着毫无尊严的退休生活，以及新加坡不平等的差距扩大等等的政策，我们会在国会里代表你们，发出你们的声音，为你们争取你们的权利。请摸摸你们的良心。自独立以来，至今55年，你们的生活水准有达到类似水平吗？还有，不要随意相信那些只会花言巧语、平时见不到踪影，大选来才出现的，并口口声声说要为你们争取福利的政客。因为你们选的议员不只是当议员，而且还要管理你们的市政理事会，确保你们的日常生活不受影响，还有你们的钱不会随意的耗掉。请给我们民主联盟机会，让我们一起保护我们的权利。请投新加坡民主联盟1票。
Salam sejahtera, rakyat Singapura. Sentuh hati, tanya pada diri sendiri, kenapa SGA mau berada di Pasir Ris Punggol, kawasan undi Pasir Ris Punggol? Sebabnya mudah, SGA sudah berada di Pasir Ris Punggol selama 13 tahun. Kita sudah berjalan bersama-sama, rumah ke rumah. Kita prihatin dan mendengar masalah-masalah keluhan masyarakat di sana. Jadi, itulah yang kami perlukan daripada kamu.
Pasir Ris Punggol residents, thank you once again for your support. We look forward to your support in this general election. Vote for SGA.
Parliamentary General Election 2020 announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of West Coast. S. Iswaran, Desmond Lee T. Seng, Foo Mi Ha, Ang Wei Neng, and Rachel Ong Sin Yen of the People's Action Party, and Tan Cheng Bok, Hazel Phua, and Logan Naden, Khoo Po Tiong Jeffrey, and Leong Man Wai of the Progress Singapore Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of West Coast. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on 10 July 2020.
Dear voters of West Coast GRC, we are your People's Action Party team. As you know, COVID-19 has created much uncertainty in our lives and our livelihoods. We, as a team, have worked through the years to look after your needs and care for you. Vote for us, your PAP team, so that we can continue to work together to protect our lives, our jobs, and our future. Para pengundi GRC West Coast, kami adalah pasukan PAP anda. Sekarang kami adalah dalam satu masa yang tidak menentu oleh sebab COVID-19. Kami telah bekerja rapat dengan anda untuk meningkatkan kesejahteraan semua penduduk di GRC West Coast. Undilah kami, pasukan PAP anda, agar kami dapat melindungi kehidupan kita, pekerjaan kita dan masa depan kita. வெஸ்ட் கோஸ்ட் குழு தொகுதி வாக்காளர்களே, நாங்கள் உங்கள் மக்கள் செயல் கட்சி குழுவினர். எங்களுக்கு உங்கள் வாக்களிக்குமாறு கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். இப்பொழுது நாம் ஒரு நிச்சயமற்ற சூழலில் இருக்கிறோம். கோவிட் கிருமி காரணத்தால் நம் வாழ்க்கை, நம் வேலைகள், நம் எதிர்காலம் அனைத்தையும் நாம் இணைந்து பாதுகாக்க எங்களுக்கு மக்கள் செயல் கட்சிக்கு, உங்கள் மக்கள் செயல் கட்சி குழுவுக்கு உங்கள் வாக்களியுங்கள்.
亲爱的西海岸基选区的选民，我们是人民行动党西海岸的团队。冠状疫情已经非常严重地影响了我们的生活和生计，所以我们希望得到您大而有力的支持，一起携手守护生命，保障工作，共创未来。谢谢。
Give us a cue, is it?
Can start? Can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, Pak Chia Hao, Tuan Tuan dan Puan Puan. Dear voters of West Coast GRC, I am Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, leader of the Progress Singapore Party. I'll be bringing a team of 4 people to come and serve you. I was here before for 26 years, and I was the MP of Ayer Rajah for 26 years. I served in the town council and also in the CDC, Southwest CDC, as your chairman, so I covered the whole area. I'm back because I feel things are not going on correctly. Because there's a lack of accountability, there's a lack of transparency, and a lot of lack of independence of appointments of senior people in the government. These form the basis of a good government, and I found it was lacking, and therefore I decided I must come back. Also, when we go into Parliament, we'll be bringing up issues like your CPF, your housing problems, healthcare problems, but most important, we have to monitor how the reserves are being used by the government in this COVID crisis. I will bring the 4 members of mine to West Coast. They come from different backgrounds, and each of them bring with them their expertise to help us to run the town councils and other organizations. Let me also tell you the Singapore Progress Party will also be contesting in the GRC of Choa Chu Kang, Tanjong Pagar, Nee Soon, and the single constituency of Pioneer, Marymount, Kebun Baru, Pongka North, and Yio Chu Kang. PSP candidates come from very different backgrounds, and they will bring with them the experiences and knowledge to serve you. We are one team, and we work as a team. So when you vote for one, remember, he is backed by a whole team. So please consider PSP, and also think carefully. You must vote us to give us a voice in Parliament. You deserve better. Vote PSP. Thank you.
午安，西海岸集选区的选民们，陈清木医生将带领4名候选人来为你们服务。他曾经在这里担任过亚裔拉惹的国会议员。如果我们进入国会，我们将提出就业、公积金、住房和保健的问题，还有高级官员的任命的独立性问题。请考虑投票给我们，因为你值得拥有更好。请投新加坡前进党，请记住我们的党徽。
Okay. What happened?
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of Jalan Besar. Josephine Teo, Heng Chi Hao, Denise Phua Lay Peng, and one result of the People's Action Party, and Leong Zi Hian, Lim Tien, Noor Aslan bin Sulaiman, and Fong Pang Cheng of the People's Voice are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Jalan Besar. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that a poll be conducted in Singapore on 10th July 2020.
Dear residents and voters of Jalan Besar GRC, I am Heng Chi Hao, Wang Zhi Hao. My team and I from the P.B.B. ask for your strong support in these general elections. The P.B.B. has been serving you all these years with sincerity and determination. We will want to improve your lives, improve your livelihoods, and build a better future for you and your family. We will walk this journey through the ups and downs with you. We will put all our hearts and all our energies to work for you. We will work hard for you. Please vote P.B.B. Thank you.
Dear residents of Jalan Besar GRC, I am Denise Phua. Thank you for your past support. We pledge to serve you honestly, humbly, and sincerely, diligently. We pledge to deliver the promises that we make, just like we have delivered every master plan for Jalan Besar in the past. We sincerely care for you, and we want to make life better for you. Vote for us. 亲爱的居民们，谢谢您过来的支持。我们的团队诚恳的、诚实的、勤力的要为你做事，请投票支持我们人民行动党。
Para penduduk Jalan Besar GRC, terima kasih. Terima kasih kerana menyokong kami selama ini. Kini saya merayu agar anda menyokong kami sekali lagi, agar kami dapat bersama bergandeng bahu untuk menjadikan bandar ini bandar yang anda idamkan. Undilah P.B.B.
亲爱的惹兰乌沙集选区的居民们，我是杨丽明 Josephine Teo， 衷心感谢你们多年来对人民行动党的支持和信任。我们希望再次得到您的委托，有机会继续为您服务。我们是诚实的团队，让我们一起和你打造一个充满活力和关爱的社区。请支持人民行动党 ，Majulah P.B.B. Majulah Singapura。
Majulah P.B.B. Majulah Singapura.
My fellow Singaporeans and Jalan Besarians, I am Lim Tien, and I am before you today with Leong Zi Hian, Aslan Sulaiman, and Dr. Michael Fang as candidates for Jalan Besar GRC. This is the election you have been waiting for. This is the election for you to regain your dignity, our country, our future. This is the election for you to ensure that you and your next generation have the jobs you deserve, and that your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner is never taken away by foreigners. This is the election to wipe away the shame that our country has been tainted with, as being described as one of the greatest failures in the coronavirus saga, a failure that was caused by weak and inept leadership in our government. And this is the election for all of us to deliver a fairer and more prosperous society to the many and not just the privileged few. We come before you not asking for anything, but only asking for the chance to serve as your elected representatives in Parliament, so that we can push an agenda that will always put people first, and together make Singapore our home again. Majulah Singapura! Thank you.
Parliamentary General Election 2020. Announced of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of Sembawang. Ng Chong Hon. Sathin, son of Ravindran. Teo Kwei Huang Sebastian. Yadzith bin Haris and Yo Tiong Boon of the National Solidarity Party, and Ong Yi Kang, Lim Wee Kiak, Vikram Nair, Poli San, and Mariam Jafar of the People's Action Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Sembawang. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on the 10th of July 2020.
Good morning, voters. Afternoon. It's afternoon time. Good afternoon, voters. We are the candidates from NSP for Sembawang GRC. Let me start with commending all of you for your performance during the CB period. This is a Singapore spirit which takes us through thick and thin, and this is what makes us winner. Now, the general election is upon us, and it is the best opportunity for us to choose a better and a stronger government to have your voices represented. Sembawang GRC voters, you may be thinking if you should cast your vote to NSP. Let me tell you, we are the voice in you that has been telling you all along, change is a must, and change is urgent. And the change is to vote NSP. And to all the Imperial troopers stationed outside this nomination center, be brave, embrace change for the better like Finn. So cast your fear away, and to do the next right thing, vote NSP. Thank you.
Kepada penghuni-penghuni Sembawang, kami ada pasukan
yang baik. Kami berharap anda sekalian akan menyokong kami. Kami akan menjaga anda sekalian dan bandar ini. 各位亲爱的三八旺居民，我们是三八旺人民行动党的团队，是个好的团队。支持我们，我们会尽我们的所能，照顾好这边的居民，照顾好三八旺这个新加坡里特别的地方。My dear Sembawang residents, this is the P.B.B. team for this GRC. I think it's a good team. Various backgrounds, various expertise. Support us. Give us your strong support. Mark next to the lightning. And we will do our best. Take care of the residents here. Take care of this special place in Singapore. Thank you.
சம்பவாங் குடியிருப்பாளர்களே, தயவு செய்து மக்கள் செயல் கட்சிக்கு வாக்களியுங்கள். சம்பவாங்கை நாம் சிறப்புமிக்கதாக்குவோம். நன்றி.
Dear voters, let this be a fair and safe campaign. I certainly hope that there will be no negative campaigning and no attacks on each person. More important, let's focus on the challenges and the issues at hand facing Sembawang as well as Singapore. Let's have a good campaign and offer the best ideas to all our Singaporeans. And certainly we want to hope that all our residents over here do support us. We have exciting plans for you. We want to continue to make Sembawang special.
请支持我们，让我们继续照顾你们。
Masa yang kami nanti-nantikan sudah sampai. Saya sangat berjumpa dengan kamu di Woodlands dan Sembawang.
Thank you. We'll see you around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Announcement of result on nomination day. Electoral Division of Marine Parade. Tan Chuan Jin, Xia Kian Peng, Edwin Tong Chun Fai, Tan Si Leng, and Muhammad Fahmi Aliman of the People's Action Party, and Ron Tan Jin Yen, Yi Jian Zhong, Fadli Fauzi, Azhar Latif, and Nathaniel Koh of the Workers' Party are the groups of candidates that have been nominated for the Electoral Division of Marine Parade. Under Section 34 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, the election must be adjourned for a poll to be taken. The returning officer has directed that the poll be conducted in Singapore on the 10th of July 2020.
Let's take off the mask. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera kepada kita semua. 各位选民，大家好. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for all your years of support for all of us here in Marine Parade GRC. It's a tremendous privilege and honor to serve you, our residents. The world is facing a crisis, the likes of which we have not seen for many, many years. We need strong and decisive and effective leadership to see us through. This is our Marine Parade GRC team. Edwin Tong.
Dear voters of Marine Parade GRC, thank you very much for the trust that you've had in this team for the past few years. We do not take your support and confidence for granted, and we know that we have to work to earn your mandate. This team will continue to work hard to deliver on our promises to you, to look after each of you in Marine Parade, and to make Marine Parade a better home for all. 马林百列的选民们，谢谢，请支持我们，请支持人民行动党，请投人民行动党一票，谢谢。Thank you very much.
Dear residents, thank you for your support all these years.
In this GE, pick a team that has a track record and can deliver, a team that you can trust and cares for you. Please vote for us. 亲爱的居民，我跟我的同事，我们会尽我们的力量为大家服务。谢谢大家。
Good afternoon， 各位選民、各位鄉親父老，多謝你哋咁多年對伍作棟施政同埋佢嘅團隊嘅支持。我哋會為你哋嘅生命、你哋嘅生活、你哋嘅工作與你哋嘅將來而奮鬥。請盡力支持我哋投 P.B.B 投人民行動黨一票。多謝晒。
Amin.
Salam sejahtera. Kami di Marine Parade GRC akan terus bekerja keras untuk menjaga pekerjaan dan kesejahteraan penduduk. Kami akan bantu sesiapa untuk mengharungi masa-masa sukar seperti sekarang ini. Bersama-sama kita membina masa depan yang lebih cerah. Kami di Marine Parade GRC amat prihatin.
We are fully committed to serving you, our resident. Please give us your strongest support. Please vote for us. Vote P.B.B. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
每个政治人物都必须要有责任感，因为政策的改变会影响人民的生活。我们也要照顾到国家长远的未来。各位马林百列集选区的支持者，2015年的大选，您给了工人党大力的支持，我们很感激。这一次的疫情大选，疫情之下的大选会是一场硬战。但我们不会退缩，我们会努力取得突破，夺下马林百列集选区。工人党会在国会里争取您应有的权利，和执政党共同设定治国方针，辩论民生问题，改变您的未来。请投工人党一票，让您的一票成就未来。谢谢。
Segarlah kuntum menanti kembang, nyalakan api azammu kawan. Walau dilanda ribut nan kencang, parti pekerja tetap berlawan. Fresh is the bud that waits for the bloom, so light the fires in your will, my friend. The fiercest of storms may gather and loom, but the Workers' Party will fight till the end. Dear voters of Marine Parade, this is our promise to you. No matter the odds, no matter the cost, the Workers' Party stands ready to serve you in Parliament.
Dear voters of Marine Parade GRC, the Workers' Party is back. Over the last 3 general elections, we contested in Juche, then Marine Parade. Today, we are back with another dedicated team. We have never left. Over the last few years, despite the challenges of not being elected, we continue our work and we have initiated various community initiatives. We are touched by your support and your encouragement. We want to build a better Singapore, a better Marine Parade together with you, for you and for your children. We have a dedicated team who can be your voice in Parliament and can run the place well. Vote the Workers' Party. Make your vote count. Thank you.
And that concludes the formal proceedings of nomination day. We've heard from many of the candidates that are putting themselves up for election. They are fighting for 93 seats across 31 electoral divisions. That breaks down to 17 GRCs and 14 SMCs.
Let's quickly get back to Gillian, who's in studio with us. Gillian, those short speeches, a clear reference by many of the PAP candidates. They all put COVID-19, the crisis, front and centre, a reminder of that. On the opposition side, the speeches also tended towards this lean, this reference for greater representation of opposition parties in Parliament to push for change. So your thoughts on what voters are going to have to consider as we go into, you know, the next few days of campaigning before July 11th.
Well, you
10th,
see,
sorry.
Yeah, well, you see, we look at what all the opposition parties have to offer, but actually voters only have to look at the opposition party that is contesting in their constituency. And certainly that's because there are only 2 three-cornered fights, and that's in Pioneer SMC and Pasir Ris Punggol. So I think it's not that complicated, straight fights in so many constituencies. Key thing is the PAP saying we've got the solution for a time of great change, and then the opposition saying we are the change. We are the ones to try and make sure that the government works better for you after polling day. I think that's quite important to take note of. Second is that we've actually now seen, Heng Swee Keat move to East Coast, GRC. I'd correct myself, the Workers' Party group there comprises Kenneth Foo, Nicole Seah and Terence Tan. They're all people with some electoral experience. So I would say that the pecking order for the WP camp is actually Aljunied Hougang, then East Coast, and then Marine Parade, who has only one candidate there who has electoral experience. The constituencies to watch, certainly Aljunied, because the WP group held it by a sliver, just under 1%. So I think you heard the PAP team say, please bring us home. And I think it sounds a bit quite poignant, whereas the WP team has acknowledged that it had some failings and it wants to do better. So I think that honesty will also be probably noticed by the voters there. Finally, of course, I think no surprise, in the West, we do have the PSP team. It's the A team in West Coast GRC. But of course, the surprise on the PAP side is that Desmond Lee has now shifted from Jurong GRC to West Coast. We didn't hear him just now in terms of a speech. That was a bit surprising, but you had the Minister Iswaran clearly at the helm. Finally, in Marine Parade GRC, where you've seen the big gun, Goh Chok Tong, stand down. You've seen his successor there, but you've seen Tan Chuan Jin speaking and clearly signaling that he is helming the team there in Marine Parade.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gillian, for spending some time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Getting us through nomination day. Always good to have you.
Sure.
Gillian Koh, Deputy
Thank
Director of Research at the Institute of Policy Studies and a keen political watcher.
Well, Singapore's ruling PAP will be facing contest in all 93 seats with challenges from a record number of 10 opposition parties. There are 2 multi-cornered fights which could dilute the opposition vote against the PAP.
A 3-cornered fight is in store in Pasir Ris Punggol GRC between the PAP, People's Voice and the Singapore Democratic Alliance. Senior Minister Teo Chee Hean will lead a team comprising Janil Pudacheri as well as 3 newcomers, Muhammad Shahrial, Muhammad Taha, Desmond Tan and Yeo Wan Ling.
The People's Voice team is led by activist Gilbert Goh and includes Lim Kay Chiao Jire, Prabhu Ramachandran, Muhammad Nasir Ismail and Vignesh Ramachandran. Led by party chairman Desmond Lim Bak Chuan, the SDA is standing again in the GRC, including Abu Muhammad, Harminder Pal Singh and Kuswadi Atnawi and Kelvin Ong.
In the Pioneer SMC, the PAP's Patrick Tay is moving from the West Coast GRC to take on the PSP's Lim Chee Hong and independent candidate Chiang Peng-Wah. The nomination day proceedings also threw up some major surprises, particularly in the PAP camp.
That's right. The biggest is Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat's move from Tampines GRC to the East Coast GRC, where he will lead a team against the Workers' Party. The PAP team will include incumbent MPs Maliki Osman, Jessica Tan, former Fengshan MP Cheryl Chan, and newcomer Tan Kiat Hao.
Now, the Workers' Party team will include Abdul Sharif, Kenneth Fu, Terence Tan, Dylan Ng and Nicole Sia.
Minister for Social and Family Development Desmond Lee is also moving from the Jurong GRC to join West Coast GRC team, led by Minister for Communications and Information S. Iswaran, against the PSP team that's headed by former PAP MP Tan Cheng Bok.
Elsewhere, several constituencies are set to see keen contests at this election. Let's start with the GRCs then, and we'll begin with Al Junid GRC. The Workers' Party is seeking to hold on to its crown jewel with a team led by new party chief Pritam Singh. The Workers' Party team also includes Chairman Sylvia Lim, Faisal Abdul Manap, as well as former NCMPs Leon Pereira and Gerald Giam. The duo are replacing former WP chief Lau Tia Kiang and stalwart Chen Xiaomao, who are stepping down at this election.
Despite talk of a heavyweight being fielded by the PAP, its team comprises largely returnees from the 2015 election: Victor Lai, Shamsul Kama, Chua Eng Leong, as well as rookies Alex Yeo and Chan Huiyu.
In the newly formed Sengkang GRC, Labour chief Ng Chi Meng will lead the PAP team against the Workers' Party team. Joining him are former Ang Mo Kio GRC MP Lam Pin Min, former Sembawang GRC MP Amrin Amin, and newcomer Raymond Lai.
The Workers' Party team includes its 2015 Marine Parade GRC candidate He Ting-ru and 3 rookies, this time Louis Chua, James Lim and Raisa Khan.
For opposition supporters, there was some disappointment as it turned out that Mr. Lee Hsien Yang, estranged brother of Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, would not be standing in Tanjong Pagar GRC. Talk of his candidacy rose after he was introduced as a PSP member and spotted on walkabouts in the GRC held by his late father, founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew.
The PSP team comprises Michael Chua, Terence Sun, Harish Pillay, Abbas bin Kazmani and Lo Wei Ling. Action could also be hot in several SMCs as well.
In Hougang, the Workers' Party is fielding former NCMP Dennis Tan to hold on to its stronghold against another challenge from the PAP's Li Hong Chuang. In 2 newly carved-out single-seat wards, the PAP is fielding female candidates to hold the fort.
Now, they include Marymount, where the PAP's Gan Xiao Huang, Singapore's first female general, will make her political debut against the PSP's Ang Yong Guan. In Punggol West, meantime, the fight is on between the PAP's Sun Chui Ling, who is leaving the Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, and the Workers' Party newcomer Tan Chen Chen.
Lastly, in Bukit Panjang, SDP Chairman Paul Tambaya will take on the PAP's Liang Eng Hua, who is leaving the Holland Bukit Timah GRC to replace incumbent Teo Ho Pin.
Now, you might have noticed we've showed silhouettes for some of the candidates there, and that's because we don't yet have their photos yet. But meanwhile, nominations might be over, but the campaign trail, it has just begun all the way until the 10th of July, when Singaporeans will vote on who will lead Singapore into its next chapter.
Big thanks for staying with us through our special coverage of the nomination day. We leave you with a look back at